Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cocktail Hour. I'm your host, Weebo Jones, and with me tonight is Polly.
Hello.
Guess guess who's not late today, guys? Whoever
Woo.
guessed that Polly wouldn't be late, you get a cookie. This is my co-host. Polly is my co-host.
I got a feeling that somebody bet against me and just lost money.
Anyway, I know that tonight is a special night for certain football nerds out there in the audience, and I am humbled, truly humbled, that you would choose to spend your time here with me and Polly rather than out there with everyone else watching the Super Bowl. Truly.
Baseball's the only sport that counts.
See, I am a big fan of the martial arts. Those are the ones that I can only get into. And the reason why is because they're more violent.
Subtle.
No, I don't think that's the only reason, but it's part of the reason. There's a little bit more physical skill work that's involved there. I think, at least it's apparent to me. Plus, there's the fact that I myself was a martial artist for quite a many years there before I went off to college. And I'm going to pick it back up when I graduate. Again, it's just really hard to do it in the middle of nowhere when you don't have a dojang to go to like 4 nights a week. But digression aside, so I can relate on a bit more of a level to martial artists watching them than I can to, say, a football player, even though I've played football before. I'd rather do it than watch it on TV until it comes to martial arts. And then I'd still do it and watch it on TV. Does that make sense?
It does.
TOS is boycotting the NFL. Why is that TOS? I'm curious, actually. What's there to boycott? TOS is... Ah! I can hear myself. Sorry.
Yeah, we all heard yourself. That was weird.
Yeah. So, Polly, how are you this fine evening? Are you missing anything, like, NFL-y? Like, did you have plans before you realized that, oh, you have to come on with Weebo?
I have to come on Weebo.
No, come on with Weebo. Jeez. I see where your mind's at.
Well, I didn't say it. You did.
No, I said come on with Weebo.
No, there was no with in there.
There was a with.
No, I didn't hear no with.
No, there was a with. I swear to God, there was a with. You're just getting old.
No, there was tailgate parties and all that jazz. No.
I did all of my partying earlier. Oh no. I did say what you said I said.
I did say what you said I said.
No. I meant with. I swear to God, I meant that. It was in my head. It didn't come out that way, but it was in my head. It was phrased that way.
Let me tell you something. So football.
Yes.
I realize that there's a lot of irony in saying that I find football boring. It's like, you like baseball. That's the most boring thing. I get it. But football is so just unbelievably and unacceptably boring. So a lineup of big, over-adrenalized, possible thyroid condition, over steroided men line up against each other and then crash into each other. And then they all walk away. And then they show replays of it for 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes.
And then they all line up again and crash into each other again.
I feel like you're describing every single war action movie I've ever seen.
Well, and then they all crash. So this repeats. All right. And then eventually, every now and then, someone will manage to throw a ball and then snap it out of the crowd, and some guy will fail to catch it. And on extreme rarity, some guy will actually catch it. And everybody jumps up in the air and screams with excitement. That's football to me. If
you seem to have a very decided opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I realize I got no room to talk rationally because I dig baseball, because it's baseball is very slow moving by comparison. To
So
me,
you're
if
more of a rulesy type guy when it comes to your sports ball, then, like more
there's a hell of
regiment.
I don't get into the whole sabermetrics thing, like box scores with baseball, because it just goes too far and it gets too deep, and
Mhm.
I'm not looking to do a math class while watching a game. But you're right. There are a hell of a lot of rules. It's extremely structured. It's pretty complex compared to basketball and football, and so there's a lot going on. So while there isn't a fuck ton of action, there is a hell of a lot to pay attention to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's engaging in that way. If you like action, I don't understand why you're not all about the action sports like basketball, nonstop movement, hockey, nonstop movement.
Oh God, basketball is exhausting. You ever like play basketball?
Yeah.
You are constantly moving. It takes a lot out of you. It's a hard sport.
I don't like basketball because of the endless motion, and it's so easy to score that
Yeah.
the scores get really, really high. And yeah, I get it. It's just the nature of the sport.
Well,
the
that's
game,
also
the way it
because
works, but
the different types of shots have different point values,
Mhm.
which is also something that I don't get about mother of pearl. Okay, which is also something that I don't get about football is the point scoring system. Why is a touchdown 7 points, but isn't it like a field goal like is it 1 point or is it 3 points?
I think a field goal is 3. There's a whole bunch of people in chat going, "Oh God," face palming right now. I think it's 3.
Yeah, Weebo doesn't know how to sports ball. No, I don't. I only ever played touch football in elementary school, and it was like one touchdown equals 1 point, and whoever had the most points at the end of recess is. We never really actually kept score. It was just a constantly going game, and you were on whatever team that you wanted to be on.
That's so friendly. Joe Lander and Ira Prostate and Kai Ken all say that it's 6 points. So what's the extra point for? Because it's
Yeah, wait, hang on. I thought it was 7 points.
the point after is the extra one. The extra point is the extra point. Yeah, and I think that this substantiates Weebo's claim about the overcomplexity of scoring in football.
Yep,
It's 6 plus 1. The fuck's
Yep,
up
I
with that?
think this vindicates me a little bit. Math is hard. Yes, thank you, the means of destruction. I'd rather not have to watch a game and do the point system while I'm watching the game. Like the math behind the point system while I'm watching the game, because that's just no. Not that you do, because all that you need to know about a game is at the bottom of the screen, and then you have the commentators speaking over it, and they're pointing out the obvious to what it is that people already like.
If it wasn't, I don't understand how people like you have to really be into football to go to a football game, in my opinion, because they work overtime when watching football on TV to make it seem like something's happening. Remember the whole thing, that a bunch of guys line up and crash into each other and then they walk around for 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah.
That 3 or 4 minutes is what drives me nuts about watching football on TV.
Because they got the replays and the commentary, and then we have
the commentary, and then and then the picture of the guy will come up, like the cutout green screen of him standing there with the football, and this is fallopian Valapinder from such and such state who came up and it is 700 million field goal rushing yards. And blah blah. And
stats like, for the players, and they're talking about. Oh, I'm probably offending greatly a whole bunch of people. Everyone that's not currently watching the Super Bowl is probably not a super mega ultra lord fan, but those of my viewers who are going to come back after this, I've probably lost them forever, and so have you, Polly. This is all your fault. But like.
Fallopian Valapinder. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Just
4 attempts to get 10 yards, and if no, the other team gets the ball. Yeah, that's so complicated. That's more complicated than it needs to be, I guess. Because, okay, back in my day, when Weebo played football during elementary school, it was just like a constant back and forth. It was just like we play until someone gets touched, and then we keep playing, and then we start over again, and then we play, and then we play, and then we go to the other side. and you just throw it at whoever it is that you could find that was open. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it should be as big an issue or a big a deal as it is, all things considered. You know?
There's a decided homosexual erotic subtext to football that I can't get past.
Oh?
Yes. Think about it. There are a bunch of men who line up face to face, bent over, staring at each other, trying to talk trash. There's another guy who's passing a ball in between his legs. Another guy who's leaned down with his butt in his face, reaching between his legs, doing a reach around. It's all decidedly gay.
You know what would be a more fun sport to watch?
I'm kidding, of course. It's not actually gay. I'm making jokes. The jokes, people. Jesus.
You ever play Ultimate Frisbee?
I have, yeah.
See, that would be a lot more fun. Hockey is a lot more fun to watch. Lacrosse, a lot more fun to watch. Although we don't have a lacrosse league. I feel like we should. Do we? Is there one that I don't know about?
Have a lacrosse league?
Yeah.
I don't know that there is, but I'm going to say that there is. I'm assuming that there's a fucking, table tennis league in every state that would blow your mind. Like,
There's a national lacrosse league. I need to know this.
And Pincala says Polly was stuffed into lockers as a kid. No, I just played baseball in high school. And it was like the footballs, like for the meatheads that were not actually athletic, they were just huge. And so like baseball players tend to be tall, wiry guys because you can throw and run and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're not really athletic, you're just a meathead.
There are 13 lacrosse teams nationally, and they are across, not just like the United States, they're between Canada, divided between Canada and the United States.
Right.
So that's probably why it's not more popular, because the Canadians play it.
I was surprised to find out that the national sport of Canada is lacrosse. I thought it would be hockey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I would think it would be hockey too. Lacrosse is big in USA colleges, isn't she? Yeah, Yeah, lacrosse is pretty big on college campuses. Actually, to be quite frank, it was bigger when I was in high school than it is now that I'm at college. Although my college isn't really sportsy. We only have a little bit of competition annually with another school, and that's about it. Other than that, no one really cares.
Right.
So,
Jill Lender says people who played baseball like baseball. You know what? Like I said, I try my best to be like reasonable and rational about it. There's a lot of subjective taste in all of this. People act like one is better than the other. I don't get the national popularity of football because it destroys other sports in terms of spectator views.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like the
NASCAR
soccer
is incredibly popular, and I don't get NASCAR at all.
Okay. All right. I'm about to admit something to you. My dad is a NASCAR fan.
Right.
And I think the reason why he likes it isn't so much about because he likes watching cars go left all the time. It's more so for the spectacle of when it is that things go wrong. Like when someone kicks a left a little too aggressively and crashes into someone else, and then you see a big explodey.
Yep.
The other reason why it is that people enjoy NASCAR as much as they do, again, it's got nothing to do with the watching them go round and round in circles. It probably has a little bit to do with that. But more so it's for the sheer atmosphere of it. Because if you've ever gone to an actual race, maybe not a NASCAR, but anything that is just a car race where they're actually just going left all the time, the atmosphere is super relaxed. It's super chill. You're just hanging out with people. You're betting, you're drinking, you're having a good time. You're rooting for your driver. And then you go back to your car and you tailgate, or you tailgate before the event. So it's more of a social thing than anything else. Kind of like whenever it is that I hang out with people for the Super Bowl. It's less about the actual Super Bowl itself and more so for the social reason to gather. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. That's also probably what the football's all about. on some level for a lot of people.
I would have to imagine, because it's like, I know a bunch of girls that are like, oh, I'm going to a Super Bowl party. I'm making the deviled eggs. Like, it's, and somebody actually told me that yesterday. So that's just a natural reference. It's like, I'm bringing the chips. I'm doing this. And like all the girls that are going to it, they ain't watching the fucking game. They're
God,
standing there in the kitchen drinking and talking about fucking gossip and shit.
I actually was hosting a football party an hour and a half ago.
And I'm not saying
the game didn't start until 6:30.
I hear you. I don't even mean it as a criticism. It'd be like, because if I was at a football party or a Super Bowl party, I don't know. I sitting there watching the game. Jesus Christ, no, I wouldn't. If I was sitting on a couch watching the game, I'd actually have my phone out in front of me doing something a little more mentally engaging. I just don't like football. It's like I don't like green peppers either. It's just a taste thing.
I can relate. Jacob Jett says watching the whole field explode in a NASCAR race when one guy makes a slight mistake is something to behold. Yeah, I agree.
So you are watching it, Jacob, just for the human misery. My God.
Yeah.
I thought that was an ugly stereotype.
That's a big part of the reason why I watch Onision videos too, for the spectacle of it, not because I actually like him.
Let's talk about Onision, shall we?
Oh, shall we?
Yeah. So Onision's nuts, am I right? Onion Man bad?
Yes.
Cool. There. Now you can put it in the title and the tags.
Oh, gee. Thanks,
Tickle that algorithm. Woo!
I actually have a perspective on that might get me in trouble that I've been keeping to myself.
You think he's hot? I know, you told me.
No!
Oh.
No!
Oh, you didn't want me to tell people that? Oh, sorry.
Shut the fuck up. No, my perspective on the whole issue itself is, have you been keeping up with it?
Yes, actually.
It's mostly just relationship drama.
Of course, yeah.
And technically, from what I've heard, nothing that he's done is illegal. From what I've heard, from what has been said on all of the Chris Hansen streams, nothing has been outright illegal. It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah,
yes.
As a matter of fact, so Far Zeus Me, we've watched all the Chris Hansen streams together in this sort of like, all right, let's be judgy, sardonic assholes, and we've had fun.
Of course.
Yeah. And our takeaway from it is Kai, formerly Laney-Bot, formerly Taylor.
Yeah.
His wife, now husband. Good God, that fucking Addams family, man. Jesus. Anyway.
Yes. No, it's all fucked up. All different ways.
He's the only one who's committed a crime.
Yes.
With the possible exception of the violation of the Mann Act. But it delves into lawyerisms real fast where people start talking outside of their range of knowledge and expertise. Did he actually violate the Mann Act in a provable way by going over state lines, underage, et cetera, et cetera? Maybe he did. I don't know. I understand the claims being made. Okay. But the majority of things that people are talking about in terms of grooming, et cetera, and you made the point, does that actually extend to criminal activity? It seems like the only one who engaged in criminal activity is Kai.
Yeah. And sending pictures to their children. And Irate Prostate brings up that there's child neglect. That might also be the case, but it hasn't been publicized as much as the relationship aspects, which is what everyone's going at. In the case of the child neglect where she fell out of a window, I don't know if that's also necessarily going to qualify Onision for jail time, because again, an accident.
It extends into lawyering. I don't know. What are the laws with child neglect when it comes to Washington State? Do you have to display a pattern of behavior over time, multiple incidents? I have no idea. I understand what you're saying. I rate prostate. I'm not happy. But yeah, I'm not happy a child fell out of a window. It seems fucking awful. But was it a tragic accident? It seems like this guy, Onision, responded in the worst way possible by breaking out his video camera.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the guy is the epitome of examples for what you want to do in relationships, when you have kids and just in life. He's he's not the example that you want to live up to.
Oh, but man. I mean, Onision talks constantly about his daddy issues and the whole thing with his mother. Seems like a very weird, odd relationship.
Yeah.
If YouTube exists even remotely in the form that it does now, when your kid turns 16 to 18, they're going to have their own channel where they're going to be talking about their parental issues. Like, you wouldn't fucking believe.
Polly, recent events in my in this timeline currently have made me reconsider my stance on having children, and that makes me sad. Okay? It makes me so sad.
Oh, come on. You're the primo representative for hundreds of people of the ultimate trad con princess. What the hell? Don't say that. No
I
children.
know. And it has nothing to do with climate change. It has nothing to do with the presidency. It has everything to do with, is this child going to be tainted by the internet and all things on it? Is this child going to be manipulated by peers and friends and professors into thinking that,
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm still trying. Okay, because I just I'm thinking about not having children. Now, imagine talking to some normies, because there's a hell of a lot more normies than there are us weirdos, and that's what makes them the normies.
I'm back. Can you hear me? God damn it. Hang on. You can't hear me? Hang on. Can you hear me now? Polly. Polly, can you hear me? Oh, thank God.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you were
Man.
saying about normie.
Oh my
There were
God.
so many of us.
They found out. This is shut down the goyim. They're talking.
We can't have this trad thought tainting the internet.
I was saying there's so many more normies, and if somebody, like, let's say your poor father were to hear you say, I decided I'm not having children, and it has nothing to do with global warming, that would have confused the shit out of so many people. I get what you mean, but holy fuck.
Well, okay, there have been people out there that are like, oh, we're refusing to procreate because the world's gonna end in the next 12 years. And I'm like, no, that's not my concern. Is my child going to grow up to be some narcissistic, genderqueer, entitled asshole with a chip on their shoulder doing YouTube and broadcasting to the world every single aspect of their life, and potentially getting involved with some creepy ass gentleman on the internet who lives in his mom's basement and manipulates little girls into sending him pictures? Just like, okay, maybe
Whoa.
I have tried to resolve this with boyfriend. I've told him our children are not going to be allowed on the internet until they are at least 18 years of age. And then, sure, all right, whatever, it's fine.
That's not going to work.
And he told me, he said, no, then our children will be bullied. And then I said, it's okay. It'll give them character.
If there's one consistency that I found to, if people say you got to be aware of what your children are doing online, etc., to the Hansen streams, it's like, okay, well, hold on, let's look at the type of girls that were brought into this mess. If I see a consistency amongst them, it's they are unfulfilled and insecure, and when offered the opportunity to engage in some e-fame, it seems like the biggest fucking thing in the world, where they can't wait to get away from their, quote, bad situation. I mean, what mother signs off on Onision and Lanybot at the time taking parental guardianship legally of their kid? What mother signs off on that?
Well, okay, so from what I remember, Sarah, the girl that we're talking about, who was given guardianship, whose guardianship was given over to Onision and Lanybot, her home life was so much worse that was the better opportunity for her.
Which is what I'm sort of driving at.
Yeah.
There's they come from a small town, blah, blah, blah. So it's like the biggest thing in the world. So if you want to, and say, well, you should be observing, spying on, whatever, very strongly controlling what your kids are doing online. I think that there's an element of that being completely oblivious to what's going on. I don't know. I don't have kids, so I can't say. But it seems to me that make sure your kid has a fulfilling life and that they're not completely insecure and unrooted in where they are, who they are, and what they're doing.
Yeah, that's okay. The theme that I'm seeing here is you got to make sure that you're involved in your kids' lives, not overbearingly so, but you got to make sure that you're involved in their lives, that you make them feel like they're loved and appreciated, and that they have enough activities outside of school to actually keep them occupied. Like when I was growing up, I had no free time whatsoever to engage in online shenanigans until I got to like high school. But leading up to high school, I was in violin, I was in martial arts, I took gymnastics for a brief stint, I was in basketball for a time, and then I spent a lot of time with my family as well. And we would go on family vacations together. My cousins and I would hang out for forever. So I was never want for socializing. I was never one for things to do because when I wasn't doing, extracurriculars, I was sitting at the kitchen table doing my homework for hours because, that's also a problem. Schools give out way too much homework, but we'll get to that. And so I didn't have time to be doing mischievous things online. Thank God, because I definitely would have.
Oh yeah, you waited till you got to college to be a miscreant online, huh?
Well, I think I've done a pretty good job, not being a miscreant so much.
No, you're a shit poster. Just it's fine.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do it with class. All right, Polly. I do it with class. There are standards here. There are rules that I follow on
Do
the
you have a second
internet.com.
channel where you
I
do
do.
this with where you do it with class? I want to see what's the link. I want to see it.
Fuck you.
I say it with affection. It's fine.
I think that's 3 back in my days from Weebo says Lion Patriot. Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
Richo says I don't think a lot of parents know how bad the internet can be. I have friends my age, 38, that barely go online. Yeah. Okay.
That's
I mean, there's a reason they're called normies. They're the normal ones. We're weirdos for being.
We are pretty eccentric.
And I say that again with affection for everyone who shows up. And like, you actually know who Sargon of Akkad is. You know who Medicare is. You know what being red pilled is. You know what
Yeah.
a normie is. I mean, this
My
puts
dad
you
doesn't know
way
any of
outside the
this.
mainstream.
My dad, the extent of my dad's existence on YouTube is he doesn't have an account for one. Two, he spends the majority of his time watching videos on SV Davos, which is a guy who just vlogs his sailing experiences all over the world.
Yep.
That's it. And he heard that from our cousin.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine what people think of what's her name? Lily Singh, when they see like her come on to do like late night talk show because they still watch TV.
Oh yeah, because people actually watch that, right, Polly?
No. But the few that did tune in, like
All
for her
3 of
first
them.
week, were like Lily Singh, and she's like tragically unfunny and it's cringy and weird and woke and what the hell? Why is every single joke about race? I don't understand. And it's because they're normies. They're like, what's wrong with casting directors in television? Well, they made a bad call because do you realize that woman has a massive following online?
Yeah.
And
Online though. People who are online very rarely have the big cable packages, so you're not catering to the demographic that you think you are. Sorry. Oh yeah, she was also in an Olay ad.
Oil of Olay?
Olay. Make space for women. I'm trying to figure out the relationship between space, Olay, and giving girls money to code.
Like Olay, like OLE, like Olay Olay, or like oil of
Like
Olay, like
Olay the soap.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, oil
Yeah.
of Olay. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, both Lion Patriot and Conspiracy called Illuminati and NWO Media Review say Medicare's old news and he's overrated. Yeah.
You right.
I mean, it's just like what you like. That's fine, but I don't know. People talk about him like he's kind of a demigod, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying no one is.
Okay, so the only thing admirable about Medicare that I could find is his ability to find nonsense on the internet is unparalleled.
Yeah, okay, I know a lot of people that I don't frequent the cow boards, 4chan, former 8chan, etc. But I end up hearing a lot about it. The criticism that I've heard from them, guys that are like longtime 4chaners,
Yeah.
are the weirdness that he finds online is actually vultured off of 4chan. Stuff that was everywhere and created threads that were, excuse me, that were big news like 2 months back.
Yeah.
That's, news from 2 months ago is what Medicare's making videos about now.
Okay.
And so, like, that's because when you have a whole bunch of oddballs online that get together to talk about hilarious, strange, weird shit from all over the line to get sardonic laughs off of it. In other words, 4chan, a large part of it anyway, or an interesting part of it. Yeah, that's
So
where
he
he's pulling that
caters
stuff
to
from.
the 4chan group of people who are on YouTube, like not people who are actually from 4chan, but the people who at some point might gravitate towards the 4chan boards.
So I guess you could say that, but the criticism that I've heard is that that guy's leeching the material off of
Uh,
4chan, where
just completely.
that's, I don't know. I'd have to go to 4chan to know myself, but that's the criticism.
So a nostalgia channel. I guess, yeah, that can be an argument made. I mean, is it... I don't know if necessarily the way that you're describing it is a bad thing to like take something and document it for a completely separate audience in a different medium. Because the boards on 4chan are completely different from the YouTube video platform here or the streaming platform here.
Yeah,
Right?
I guess the I don't think there's I mean the way you said it, no. They find something odd about it because it's popularizing and monetizing something where, like, if you just want to come here, there's a, I guess somebody might see that as elitism. I see it as kind of like a, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think that through, and I'd have to see, and I don't even know if it's actually happening. Like I said, I'd have to be up on 4chan to see if he's actually doing that.
You know who I really like watching? He's
Hmm.
like the more normie version of Medicare, but I think more funny.
Hmm.
Internet historian.
Oh yeah, yeah. Historian's hilarious.
Love his shit.
I mean, if you want to talk about documenting things that are well known, I remember some people said that. I remember hearing people say, "Well, Jim is different because he's like chronicling things that happened," and I'm like, in Internet Aristocrat time, like in his former iteration, his former channel when he did Gamergate stuff,
Hmm.
yes, and then everybody references that guy with the glasses, that series. Okay, those are what 10% of his videos at most. The rest of it are streams where he's, for the majority of his online existence, collecting donations is bad. Having Streamlabs is bad. Having super chats, reading out people's super chats when they send you money, that's gay as hell. That's stupid. I'm never going to do that. People bugging him to start a merch store. What, you want a hat with 4 or 5 stars on it? Just buy a blank hat and draw it on yourself. That's gay. I distinctly, clearly remember him saying that for a long time. The whole reason he nuked his Internet Aristocrat channel, he claimed, is because people were making money off of Gamergate. Now to
Hmm.
watch one of his streams, over half the content is him reading out super chats and pitching his merch channel.
Yeah, that also doesn't sit well with me, but you
So,
know,
I mean,
people
take away from
can
that what
change
you
their
want.
opinions on stuff.
I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody making money. I think there's wrong with somebody making money after moralizing that everyone else is gay as hell and a sellout for years and then
Mm.
making no reference to that whatsoever and becoming a shill on the level that would make Philip DeFranco jealous.
Ooh, 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 those be fighting words there, Polly, because I know how you feel about Phil. I know all too well. I've heard the rants.
Like I said, I got no problem with Medicare or anyone else making money. I don't know why he had such a problem with it for years.
Mm.
That's my claim. It's just like, dude, it's like, well, you got a problem with me making money? Not at all. More power to you. If people are willing to support your content with money, that's fine. But dude, for years you tried calling successfully called everybody out. You were above that sort of thing, etc. I don't get it.
Yeah, see, I not quite old enough internet-wise to remember anything of the internet aristocrats. Uh, but I'm old enough to remember Mr. Medicare and some of the original like video stuff before the streaming stuff. And I like the old content. The streams, they don't do it for me. I thought it was enjoyable at the very least.
His my favorite videos ever for Mr. Medicare, and I'm not sure why, was a 3-part stream that he did about protests around the Justice for Jamar protests in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
They were fucking hilarious. It was just something he did off the fly, like I gather, because there was some citizen journalists down there, so guys live streaming off of their phones what was going on, the protests around Justice for Jamar, and just recording everything. So he was basically stream sniping their streams and commenting in his smart ass cynical way. Fuck, it was funny. It was so fun. It was legendary because it was like small club jazz in terms of popularity at the time. Those that were there really enjoyed it, as opposed to what it is now, which is more like stadium rock.
Yeah.
You know?
I think my personal favorite was the Ross saga.
Right. Yeah, that was fucking wild times, man.
Because that was just out of the blue. You know how he found that guy? It was just he was looking at streams, you know, just searching the internet, and he happens to stumble across this really, really small stream that's happening on YouTube, and he joins it, and you know it's a whole dumpster fire, and it escalates. I feel like if he hadn't popped in there, it wouldn't have escalated to the level that it did at all in the coming months that followed as well.
I think it says a lot. I remember watching that original Ross stream where he's in there and other people are trying to tell Ross, like, you're going up against Medicare, just stop. And not as many people knew who he was at that time.
Yeah.
But clearly the people that were in the stream with Ross were like, dude, stop arguing with him. And it was just going on and on and on. And Medicare's pushing and pushing in the way that he does.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions in the very YouTube-esque way where it's grilling you, interrogation style.
Yeah.
And if you're dumb enough to keep answering the questions as if you've sworn an oath to tell the truth and he's a prosecutor and you're a witness, why are you even engaging in this way? Eventually he busts out and screams, well, you're the ones who've had me here. I've been shitting in your living room this whole time and only now you're threatening to kick me out? And it's like, you mean you were running hard enough on these people, fully expecting to be kicked out at any time, would understand if you did, and they only thought to kick you out now?
Yeah.
Welcome to fucking the catacombs of YouTube where weird shit be happening.
Yeah.
Damn.
Rule 14 of the internet. Everyone loves a good dumpster fire. Memes of destruction. You're right. Yes. I do love a good dumpster fire. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I just prefer not to be a part of them.
Well, that's what brought us. Well, this brings us back around to the dumpster fire that is Onision, no? I mean,
yes, it does. Tell me
Ross doesn't deserve to be talked about. Fucking weirdo. Like, there's nothing wrong with focusing in on somebody who's carrying on in such a bizarre way inside of his home that if he wasn't talking, nobody would know that he's up to such strange, possibly damaging things to other people. The way he was talking about kids and stuff. And same thing with Onision, right? This guy's broadcasting his whole life online. Everybody knew about it for years. Blair's making videos on him for years before that. Repsion was making videos on him. And nobody gave a damn.
The strangeness of it, the fact that no one gave a shit until it all culminated to now. The fact that it's taken a good 10 years to get to where we are now with an actual FBI investigation. And like I said, I don't actually think that we're going to get anything out of the investigation unless, and this is a big, if the forums are still accessible and there's a server somewhere with all of the chat logs and forum posts saved somewhere, right? But I don't think that anything substantial is going to come out of it for at least Onision. Maybe Kai, certainly. But everyone has been going on and on and on about like, oh, why hasn't anything been done yet? Why hasn't he been arrested yet? Why hasn't he been prosecuted yet? All this jazz. And I'm just thinking to myself, given what I know of the law, I don't think that there is much that the law can do. I mean, technically, from what I've heard, not everything has been up and up, but it's been pretty much legal,
Well,
except for the minor instances that we were discussing earlier.
here's the thing that upsets me about the whole thing, and the if somebody isn't coming on this position, then I don't understand why they are. You got a problem with Onision and stuff he's doing, and it may not be illegal. How is he allowed to continue, though? That is the question. How is YouTube allowed him to continue? Because they will moralize about the smallest things. Carlos Maza sending out some tweets saying, YouTube's homophobic. My problem isn't with Steven Crowder. It's with YouTube monetizing and making money off of homophobic content. They love this kind of stuff. They're the problem. It's YouTube that's the problem. And YouTube demonetizes a channel with millions, plural, of subs. They don't have a problem moralizing and going after every conservative as an alt-right content creator. Oh, we need to ban hate speech. So, in other words, launch into protectivism around Islam, where you even point out things that are factually true of Islamic history about Muhammad, etc. That's enough to get you labeled with hate speech. But Onision continues on and on. That's a legitimate question. This guy's fucking around in a huge way, and you guys didn't moralize over this, but over these things you did? Come on.
It seems consistent, though, with previous incidences that have happened. So if you remember Alex Jones, his YouTube channel didn't get taken down from the internet, from YouTube, until he was sentenced, I think. At least up until the prosecution met in a court of law and there was an actual case.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was actually soliciting underage videos of his fans.
Okay.
There was video footage of this nonsense going on. Okay. But like I said, YouTube didn't shut him down until after this. So yeah, it's probably got something to do with the amount of marketability behind this. Because there are a lot of views in YouTube drama. There are a lot. I mean, Chris Hansen has found that out, and that's a whole separate issue. Repsion has found that out. Blair White has found that out. Every other YouTube drama tea spiller on the internet has found that out, because everyone's got an Onision video out there. I even have an Onision video out there, and it's super fucking old, and it doesn't get any views.
Well, but, okay, you know what my take on this is? Because who just said it? I thought it was Cult of Krill. Somebody Johnny Blaze. To protect money, cows do what they do until they run out of a reason to doubt. Yeah, well, people talk about the money behind it and the millions of views, like you were just mentioning, Weebo. I guess if you're scoring 500,000 views a video, that in the grand scheme of English language YouTube, people forget that there's many YouTubes. I don't mean different URLs. It's just, what do you know about Spanish language YouTube? I know nothing. I was watching something that was Comicsgate related, and there was a creator that did something about comics, and it caused a big kerfuffle down at a Comic-Con in Brazil. This guy had 8 million subs, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? Well, that's just it. It's on Spanish language YouTube. That's why I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
8 million subs? Holy fuck. That's a staggering amount of subscribers. Actually, it's kind of common in the big leagues. Do you see what I'm saying? There's makeup channels and stuff that get 2-3 million views per video that come up every day or nearly every day. There's a big content creator. They don't notice drama YouTube until they have to.
Yeah, it's because it hasn't moved to the MSM yet. Once it does, YouTube will do something, says Sadistic Atheist. Yeah, that's one way to achieve YouTube microscope attention.
Yeah,
essentially.
I would agree with that. As soon as that's why Carlos Maza trained at Media Matters, by the way, knew enough to, I know how to spin this story, because at Media Matters, they know how to work stuff. Everything is sexist, racist, homophobic, it's racist republicanism, etc. That's the way they frame every single story that they do. Right-wing backing, neo-Nazi backing, alt-right, etc., etc., etc. You know what I mean? So when Carlos Maza called up every media contact that he could think of to tell them about this story that he was pushing in the middle of Pride Month, there's a reason he got a story in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Rolling Stone, his own Vox, the Salon.com. How did you get all these people to publish the story? Because he knew how to do it. which is call them up and say, YouTube is homophobic. I have the proof. It's Pride Month. This is a topical story. I'm the one that was being oppressed and targeted here. YouTube did nothing about it. Here's a super cut of the evidence that I have of Steven Crowder saying, let's be queer over and over again. He's an alt-right white nationalist. This is your story. And they were like, hell yes. And ran and printed it. And that was enough for YouTube to take notice.
I don't know if he actually had to call anyone so much as it blew up on Twitter.
At a certain point, they were calling him, yes, but no, he contacted people first, and then it becomes self-sustaining.
Yes, it was calculated. Thank you, Irate Prostate. That's exactly what it was. And
he's starting his own YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't seen the video yet, though, and I'd like to maybe take a crack at it if it's worthy of my time. My time is important to me. There's so little of it that I'll get.
Well,
if I wait too much,
I wouldn't advise it.
No.
Because, that guy lives off of being a targeted, harassed LGBTQ activist.
Yeah, I know, but I could use a nice dumpster fire in my backyard.
Yeah, I'm not saying be afraid of him. I'm just saying with the new content, things of not attacking fellow creators. He, not YouTube, wants you to attack him because that'll bring him the notoriety. His Twitter is just going to light up with, look at all the people attacking me. This is the proof that YouTube is homophobic. I told you guys, here's a display of some of the comments that have been left for me, because he's deliberately provoking people to say things like that. It's what he wants, and it's exactly what he's going to get. This guy's scum, man. He lives in the dirtiest parts of the let's trade bullshit and spin narratives garbage trash fire. That's him. He thrives in that environment. I like to think he started a YouTube channel because he couldn't get hired anywhere else after getting fired from Vox.
Yeah. Wait, that actually went through, the Vox firing of everybody? Because that was another big reason for why it was that he came out with what he did when he did, because they were going through a strike and he needed attention on his very particular issue. Because, mainstream media journalists are getting fired now, and left and right, guys. At least that's been the running theme for the last year and a half or so.
Yeah.
So he actually got fired then?
Yes, he did. And it was because he was leading that walkout over a healthcare coverage situation at Vox. You guys aren't paying this. He had done it at other places of employment that he had. He got hired at Vox because he's a progressive activist content creator, right? Not going to call him a journalist because he's not anything near that. He made his bones off of Tucker Carlson is a white nationalist. I'm just going to talk about the biggest people out there. You know what I mean? So he's going to pick a target on YouTube. If I were to predict, the safe money would be, he's going to pick a big target, meaning large subs, large views, and call the person a white nationalist. This is Tariq Nasheed in LGBTQ clothes. Clout chasing.
Stuff. He's already gone after, oh God, I'm totally blanking. Crowder. So would he continue on that path, or would he go for someone else, do you think?
No, I think he's milked. He's going to refer to it constantly, because Crowder was the biggest person who called him out particularly. Crowder's rebuttals of, that's what they were. They weren't criticisms of Carlos Maza. They were rebuttals to Vox videos that he would put up because they were so patently activist. And Crowder did them in the way that he does everything. It's I don't know, give it a name. Edgy,
rudely,
rock, rude, edgy, provocative comedy. Yeah. And he does it with everybody. And he called you a lesbian queer. He calls lots of people lots of things, and what he called you was no better nor worse. It was completely within the realm of what he does all the time. Yeah,
he wasn't targeting you just because you're gay. He was targeting you because you were there, you were liberal, and that's what he does. But you're right. Crowder is pretty provocative in that way.
Yeah, he is, and that's the reason that a lot of people tune in. I heard him described once as somebody who didn't like him, said, I don't know, it's just kind of lowbrow. It strikes me as sports bar comedy. And I'm like, that's fair. That's not unwarranted, if he's not trying to go for intellectual comedy. And I think Crowder's a really smart guy, personally. It's just, this is the kind of comedy he finds funny, and this is what he put out, big fucking deal. I'm not saying you should watch him, it's just whatever, But
even in his less comedic content, not the the shows themselves, but in the conversation style ones, Change My Minds,
Oh yeah.
the ones that are meant to be a little bit more serious and a little bit more on the point,
Yeah.
he takes every opportunity to be provocative as well, you know, to just kind of engage his opponent, his, you know, mental opponent, in a way that derails the conversation that they're already having. And I've noticed this quite often, which is why I can't watch a Change My Mind for, you know, a significant period of time without being like, all right, come on, Crowder, please. Did that really need to be said? Like the last one, right? He was approached by a transgender woman who...
You're talking when you called her sweetheart, aren't you?
Well, that, and also a few of the other, like, instances where he was interacting with the other people. It seemed like he was trying to get a rise out of them for the clickbait that it would offer, you know?
Okay, I would argue sort of. I think for the majority of his Change My Minds, I believe I've watched them all, if not the majority of them, because it's long form content where somebody is attempting to rationalize their position. At least that is the claimed purpose.
Yes.
Right. And
but
that in and of itself is rare. When he makes the claim, this is not like network television where it all comes down to sound bites on an extremely limited time scale, and now we're just trading talking points. That's an accurate statement. Like in terms of describing cable news, that's on.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but I also think that there's an ulterior motive to provoke, which is, you know, it makes sense because you're going to these college campuses, even ones that you've, you know, been told not to go to anymore because it's so much of an issue, your presence being there. He goes there specifically to have very provocative conversations with people. Not saying it's a bad thing, but then in the middle of these conversations, sometimes he will provoke the person he's talking to or maybe someone else. And it could be done with a bit more class. If
you know what?
the motive were purely just the conversation.
I would argue that what he's doing is extremely effective.
Yes.
It is a much more, in a comparative sense, it is a much more fair forum than anything else being offered on mainstream cable news right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the overpaid contributors, this is a Fox contributor, this is an MSNBC contributor, their so-called analysis is just them vomiting out their personal ideological beliefs in a environment where they're not being legitimately questioned and no one's moderating it. And it's like 7-8 people, and as soon as a point that is being talked about is not correct for the forum on Fox News, if it's not a conservative point, on MSNBC, if it's not a liberal progressive point, the so-called moderator, the host, will cut it off. And it's all time-based. I mean, it's a fixed forum. I would say Crowder's saying down, Change My Mind. He's clearly stating what he's going to do. And it's like, oh, you shouldn't go to these campuses. Let's keep in mind, it's not like it's the majority of the student body. It's the activist few, the angry 5%. That have gone and complained and whined and bitched. This guy's spreading a hate speech on our campus, et cetera, et cetera. He's been asked not to come back. It's not like he's forcing his way onto campus against the entire student body's wishes. The only people that are getting pissed off over it are the people that want to control the platform entirely.
Yes, and I'm not saying that these conversations don't need to happen, though. I'm like, that's not my point at all. What I'm getting at here is that there's an ulterior motive, obviously, because if there weren't, you would stay on point a little bit more with people. Maybe try to ease the conversation. Because if it's genuinely about having a conversation with somebody and allowing them to change your mind or whatever, maybe there wouldn't be as much provocation in certain instances.
Perhaps not, but I mean, I don't know how. On issues like the extremely contentious ones, like abortion, for example. Okay. I noticed that he was talking very softly. He leaned in. He could have hardly been more conciliatory while still holding a position assertively. And I recognize, at least that's what I saw. And if somebody's
Yes.
going to see, like, I just think, well, the arguments that are being made are people that are, I get a strong sense, everyone in chat, you weebs as well, having people, you're used to hanging around people that have never asked you to rationalize your position, that have never questioned it, that you say, well, it's a woman's right to choose, and it's not a baby until it takes its first breath outside of the womb. And everyone else just around them goes, right, right, absolutely. Oh, you're so right. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. It's only
Mhm.
Republican evil people that think differently. That kind of thing. Because he talks to them and they make constant mic drop statements, like what they think is going to be a crowd pleasing bomb drop, because I think they're used to having that kind of experience. And it's like, no, justify that. Even when it's something like Thanksgiving isn't racist, change my mind. They're like,
Yeah.
well, of course it's racist because Europeans killed natives. And it's like, okay, but that's not what Thanksgiving is celebrating. It's something a very specific thing. Well, you can't forget that for hundreds of years, these people died again. Well, I think there should be a recognition. And he says, I do recognize that. I accept that. I'm not denying it. Native Americans were killed by Europeans. Yes. What is it you're suggesting? Like, what further level of recognition? They don't know. They're just used to saying things that get a positive response. So they keep saying them.
Okay, so I've been challenged with coming up with an actual example of what it is that I'm talking about, and we did mention one earlier, but I'll mention it again. The sweetheart comment from the last Change My Mind, right? Where the transgender comes up and, she definitely could have behaved herself a lot better. Not denying that. But at the same time, the retaliation that Crowder exhibited didn't, to me, indicate, at least in the moment, it kind of seemed like he was about to egg it on a little bit, because he called after her and said something about sweetheart, yada, yada, in a way that kind of, to me, seemed a little bit provocative, like, oh, let me goad her into coming back. And then to the guest who was actually sitting in the chair's face, he's talking with her back and forth, and she's trying to be like, all right, let's get back on topic. Hey, this was sensitive. Hey, this is like, she was upset, visibly.
Mm-hmm.
And he persisted to misgender, even after the girl had told Crowder that, she wasn't comfortable with misgendering the trans woman.
Well,
it didn't seem like it was an attempt to de-escalate on his part, the situation.
Fair enough.
If he were interested in persisting with the conversation with the girl in a productive manner, he would have conceded to, use the correct pronouns, because that's what you do in a conversation. You give up ground in order to gain more ground in the future, right? Because if not, if it had been belligerent more so, she would have just cut it and run,
I would go so far as to say this. Are you wrong saying that he could have done a better job at de-escalating? Nope. I'd agree with that. He could have done a better job at de-escalating.
Yes.
With that said, is it unreasonable to expect someone to react mildly provocatively after he's having a conversation with somebody and that person walks up and says, no, I need to fucking speak right now. No, I'm going to talk right now. And it was wild the way she interrupted. And he goes, look, if you'd like to sit down and have a discussion, there is no discussion. I've been fucking blah, blah, blah. I made all these comments. So that was somebody who walked away, and it came back and threw some fucking Tupperware at him.
Yes.
And then runs away. Clack, 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 clack on the sidewalk down around the corner.
Yes.
And what he did at its worst was to say after, oh, come on, sweetheart, is that necessary? Yeah, I would call it provocative. I don't think he was trying to bring her back. I think he was trying to hurl something insulting after her because she just did something wild after doing something wild before. And this is not somebody who's used to being challenged on their wild ass behavior. People either just like step away from it because it's so strange, or let them get away with it like the person he was talking to wanted to. She goes, this person just said their truth, and I think that we need to respect that. There's a force field of social justice that just radiated from that person. I'm used to being able to flip off in this way. And I don't think Crowder liked it. And I think, yeah, I agree with you. He didn't want to de-escalate at that point. He wanted to provoke because he was a little pissed at the bullshit that was going on.
Yeah, and he has the right to be pissed about it. But Ercole Desfanto is asking me why de-escalate and also saying that I'm being a dumbass. Let me explain to you why it's not stupid to de-escalate a situation, specifically this one, from the perspective of someone who's done the hostage negotiation stuff, right? Um, I know that if you want to have a productive conversation with somebody in a very high stress situation, which believe me, this probably is for at least the guest, maybe not Crowder so much, but maybe the presentation of an adversary that's not just communicative, but Tupperware throwing wise, does present with a little bit more in such instances. This specific one, where he is provoking, but in order to be productive about it, because he is attempting to be productive about it, he's attempting to have a discussion with somebody who doesn't agree with him. In order to have that conversation with someone who doesn't agree with you, they first have to want to sit down with you. And if you do, in turn, act disrespectfully in a way that that person does not deem worthy of their time, right? If they see you as an instigator and purely just that, and not someone to have a productive conversation with in turn, then they're not going to sit down with you. This is part of my tactic that I use on Twitter to have conversations with people, and this is why I'm not blocked by, say, Christy Winters right now, or the Bronx Blogger, as far as I'm aware at this present moment. I should probably check, because I did make a comment to him that he might have blocked me for, because they are so easily deterred from having these conversations. And yes, Crowder is a provocateur. Crowder's job is to provoke people and to maybe not be as productive. But in this instance, when he is having these conversations with people, his goal is to have productive conversations. That's his stated goal. And that does not line up with that specific behavior.
Well,
that was presented there.
Ryan Walters asked, by wild, do you mean criminal? Yes. Yes, that is what I meant. She was behaving in a way that it would seem like she could be criminally charged. That when it comes to throwing shit, and the rapidity to defense that other girl offered. We said, like, you mean, because Crowder says, you mean like this person, like battery or assault or whatever word used under Texas law, and she looked him up and down and went, you're fine. That the hypocrisy was revealed, the mask fell. You're full of shit, lady. If it was a different situation, different genders were sitting in different seats, you would view it in a completely different way, which you hold a double standard, full stop.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to deny that the girl herself had her own behavioralisms, but it's Crowder we're talking about right now, and the way that he approaches situations. And I'm not putting her on trial. I'm putting him on trial, and we're having that discussion. So yeah. She could have handled herself better. The trans woman could have handled herself better. Crowder could have handled himself better. But, in the world of politics, everyone loses their shit at least once for whatever reason.
Conspiracy, Occult, Illuminati, NWA, Media Review. Whew, that's a long name. I like all this stuff, but that's a long name. Trans are so tedious and obnoxious. Disagree. That person's a fucking nut bar, and I'm willing to bet they were a nut bar before they decided to transition. And I mean like a full-on fucking fruitcake. Like Eve, Platty, they don't carry on like that. And nobody, and I mean nobody, except for someone that's looking for a fucking argument to provoke, like Weeb said, is looking to misgender them, because it's like, I identify as a woman, I'm transitioning to be a woman, and that's it. Like, if you take issue with this, because you're taking ideological issue with it. You know what I mean? It was like watching Ben Shapiro when he was on Blair White's channel. They had nothing to talk about. Everyone was expecting a fucking explosion beef, and he's like, no, I don't have a problem because you're asking me to call you this, and okay. And because somebody else said that in chat, I forget who. I think Cult of Krill with the, if you ask respectfully, of course I'm going to do so respectfully, because it's a respectful environment. You're saying, hey, look, I'm transitioning. I understand you didn't see it, but I prefer, not, it's ma'am, like, not that situation at all, but a situation like, hey, yo, look, I prefer woman because whatever reason, or I prefer man because I'm this. Cool. No one has. I don't know anyone that misgenders Platy or Eve because why would you? You know what I mean? Now, as compared to like when trans people attack, like in that video, talk about the like, you know how many trans people out there were probably face palming, thinking, "Stop helping."
You've just taken us back a decade's worth of progress. Nice job.
You're not an activist. You're not. I know people that do that for Second Amendment stuff. They say, "Oh, I'm going to go down to Washington D.C. and blah blah blah," and it's like, "Oh God, stop helping."
Yeah.
Fuck.
Decorum is oftentimes overrated by people, but I do think that it is of the absolute necessity if you want to have a civil conversation with people, and if you want to get to a point where it's not a civil war, you know? Our founding fathers, the reason why it is that we have the government that we do today is because they were capable of making compromises with people they disagreed with.
Amen.
Yeah. And
Where's that forgotten virtue of American compromise? That doesn't mean forget your virtues, because believe it or not, we agree on a lot more virtues than we disagree on. There wouldn't be a country if there wasn't compromise, man.
Compromise is key, and to ignore that, to be unable to do so with the people that you disagree with ideologically, is to formulate a hostile environment in which one side comes out on top and the other doesn't exist anymore, perhaps. Or at least they exist under the thumb of the one that's on top. And, you know, that works for the people on top, but the people who maybe don't like the situation, they're going to be resentful. They're going to be a little bit more hostile. They're going to revolt.
When Straight Sith Male says Ben is a sissy, just like sticks. Yo, guys, I'm reading chat, and I admit I'm working on a potato here. I would type a lot more, but my computer runs so slow whenever I'm in StreamYards, particularly. I don't know why, but God, there's some hot spice going on in chat.
Mm-hmm. See, okay, so
actually,
the idea
I'll be back in a hot second. I should return.
Okay.
All right.
So I think, okay, everyone's always like, show of strength, show of power. That's how you get the other side to agree with you or to back down or whatever. That's how you make a stand. That's how you make a statement that's meaningful to the people. But we just had an example this month. Virginia rally, the Boogaloo thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but we had I don't know how many thousands of protesters, gun protesters, protesting the new legislation in Virginia, and not a one person got violent. Maybe there was a guy who was provoking people, but they think that he was an Antifa, insert or whatever. But one person got arrested, and they believe that they have ties to Antifa. None of the people who showed up with guns, with the ability to actually cause mortal harm to people, engaged in that. That level of control, that exercise of control, means so much more than actually firing your gun. It's so important to have, control over your firearms, just like it's so important for you to have control over the thing that's flappity-flapping on your face hole. Okay? I can't emphasize that enough. It's going to get you so far in life, and I had to learn that the hard way as a kid, and even today now as an adult. I say things that probably aren't the best, but the ability to self-control, self-police, self-moderate is one of the most important life lessons that you can teach yourself. And that's a life lesson you have to teach yourself. I mean, other people can tell you that, but until you understand the necessity there, you don't understand how necessary it is. We're talking about self-control, Polly, and I brought up Virginia and how no one was arrested.
Right.
That was one of the pro-gun rights people. That means something.
Okay,
when you can have that many people there,
Weebo,
and not one of them got violent. What?
Do you think the coronavirus originated in China?
Did it not? Also, this is complete left field, but did it not?
I think it did. Would you generally agree that it did?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so we got Virginia, Second Amendment, Super Bowl, Onision, and the coronavirus, Steven Crowder, trans, gay, put it all in. We are tickling the algorithm's clit like never before.
Oh my God.
We are winning.
Polly, that's not how this works.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm sorry. We just hit all the trending topics, man. That was just, and I was like, you're really talking about Virginia? Shit, the only thing we haven't talked about yet is the coronavirus. Let's do it.
Oh
Cool. So now you can put it in, and there you go. You know what? Zombie Teddy says I sound muffled, and everyone was saying I sounded.
You don't sound too muffled to me, but maybe you should think about. Do you want to like?
I'm going to rejoin.
Okay.
I reset my mic before, and I think that stopped it. But I'm going to rejoin. I shall return again.
Ryan Rowling says, "Oh dear, Gaia, it's a variety show." Yep. Apparently, that's what we are today. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Hitting all of the bullet point topics, even though I did that video yesterday. God damn it. What utensil did I finally buy? Asked Daniel Fullman. All right, so for those of you who are unaware, I have a Twitter, and on that Twitter, I posted a thing about the most fun game to play at college, which is how long can I go without buying this utensil? And it was a can opener. I had to buy a can opener today because I was making chili, and in order to make chili, you need to be able to open a few cans. So that's a thing. While Polly's not here, I'm going to knock some Streamlabs out of the way. By the way, if you feel so inclined, you can donate to the Streamlabs over at the Discord link, or the description link in the description down below. I'll let Polly in a second. Right now, I need this. Thank you to Mr. Scott, who donated yesterday to say, "Hey now, Satsu, we don't know how much black has been in Weebo. She could be very black. P.S. We all know what you do with a vibrating controller. Satsu PPS, Barks Root Beer with vanilla is the best." And the next 6 minutes also donated to say, "Check out Weebo's awesome hot takes. She still needs college monies to chase away the starvations." That is true. Buy her merch, y'all, and also and help Polly get a new potato. New potatoes are awesome. Be awesome too, Polly. I need glasses. Polly, I think I need glasses. Reading is hard for me nowadays for whatever reason.
You know, I don't know what it is. I'm not the greatest live reader. Like over on my channel, I've done some live reads from American Psycho and the Screw Tape Letters and stuff. And I have to read some sentences over again. But when I'm reading off of Streamlabs, man, like people's comments, I stumble and trip through them. Maybe it's the color of the text or the font or something. I don't know what it is, man.
It feels like, okay, so I couldn't read until third grade.
Uh-huh.
Like, I could not read. They did reading tests in elementary school, and my dad got the test results, and he likes to quote this, that I only could read like 18 words a minute at a third grade level, and that's pretty far behind. And what they ended up doing was they took me to an eye doctor, and I had to do vision therapy for like months and months and months in order to get my eyes to cooperate correctly. Because apparently what was going on was I was reading and my eyes were just kind of not focusing at the same time. And that's what this feels like whenever I look at Streamlabs. It feels like my eyes are going through what they went through in third grade. I don't like it. Yes, I put peppers in the chili devil fruit zero, and I put serrano pepper and 2 bell peppers in the chili. Hey, don't appropriate my bad vision culture. I'm not appropriating it. I'm just saying I might be developing like eye cancer or something. It runs in the family. My grandmother's mostly blind, by the way. So,
eye cancer?
I don't know.
Is that a thing? Those are 2 horrifying words to put together. It just sounds awful. Jesus.
No, maybe. I don't know.
Like, I'm assuming you can get cancer anywhere. Like, there's testicular, ovarian.
Yeah, you can.
Also, but
you can get cancer anywhere, Polly. Didn't you know that?
And Ryan Walters says the chili needs more nutmeg. You know what? Most things do need more nutmeg.
You do not put nutmeg in chili. Stop it right now.
I think you need to
Both of
reconsider
you,
that.
stop it right now.
Fresh nutmeg.
The chili already has like 8 million spices in it. It does not need nutmeg of all of the spices. Yeah, I could. Where's my chili recipe? I had it on. Oh, it's all the way over there. I'm too lazy.
I did hear that last night. Ryan Rawlings says, "Be wary of Weebo. She drains scribbles of his stream mojo." Are you acting as a psychic vampire again?
I was not under the impression that I had turned that aspect of my personality on, but I guess I have. Sorry, not sorry. You can suck my pee-pee.
Wikipedia snippet says Tess Holiday naked is eye cancer. There you go. I'm not even going to deny it.
Mood.
Ryan Ralt. Daniel Folman asks, any Valentine decorations in Noir Bar? You know what? You're not the first person to ask me that. I've thought of doing seasonal decorations, but Valentine's Day? Nah, man. Fuck that.
No?
Corny hearts everywhere. I might put a spilled container of them cinnamon hearts, because I dig those. You know, the Weebs, the little cinnamon hearts?
Maybe. Perhaps.
Well,
yes. Aren't they? Don't they usually go on like cupcakes?
I have had them on cupcakes, yeah, like the micro ones, but those little hot cinnamon hearts, that's the best candy. That's usually, I only ever see them around Valentine's Day. But
ooh. I'm gonna do something that involves Valentine's Day. How about this? All right.
Really quick. Next 6 minutes over on the Streamlabs. Thank you very much. Be awesome to Polly. Be awesome for his potato that needs a new one of. Like now. Be awesome to Polly now. He needs your awesome. In the name of the potato, capitalized. Be awesome.
Do it.
I agree. Thank you, next 6 minutes.
You should most totally donate to Polly. Hey, look. Isn't this so cute?
Well, you know what? We've talked about this before. Why do people who have Streamlabs, especially you and Monkey, that pay for it, and you were the first person I knew that bought the full version, Prime, whatever you want to call it, version of Streamlabs, and you just use the gray background. Why don't you always have bar imagery in the background?
Well, I didn't think of it until just now, and now I've done it, so yee.
You know what? Number One Nowhere says a Thompson submachine gun. You know what's funny about that? Number One Nowhere and Weebs, I was trying to think of something, because I took the Christmas decorations down in the bar, and there was a poinsettia sitting on the table that's closest to the front.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now that table looks empty, and that poinsettia looked awesome just sitting there. What am I going to put there? And I went through images and images. I never thought of just laying a fucking Tommy gun down on the table. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Daniel Folman asks us what we're drinking tonight, and I am drinking good old-fashioned agua.
Really?
That's been filtered through the Brita.
You're violating the premises of our stream?
I already drank before I came on. And I was feeling a little bit too full, because, like, I drank last night. No, I didn't drink last night. I drank the night before, and then I woke up with a little bit of a headache, and then I drank today, but I had a whole bunch of beer, and so that was super filling. And so as a result, I have decided no mas for the rest of the evening. But when we do the superhero thing that we're going to do later at some point in the next week or two, because I still have to catch up on the videos or the movies that I need to watch.
Right.
Then I will be drinking. And also next cocktail hour.
Right.
But it was Super Bowl Sunday. Sorry,
I'm drinking
guys.
now. Bourbon in my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting into the mint chocolate coffee.
Yeah.
Some peppermint mocha, some people call it. Oh man, it's just mint and chocolate in your coffee, yo.
You ever try, because you put alcohol in with your coffee. At least you do when it is that we're sitting here doing this. You ever try peppermint schnapps?
I have. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That would actually, you know what? That would be if I had a bottle of it. It's not like I don't have the money to go buy in stray bottles of liquor. You know what I mean? But let's say someone left one at my house. I'd be using it for the coffee because you got your sweetener and you got your peppermint
Mhm.
all in one. Or your sweetener, your peppermint, your alcohol all in one bottle. Yeah, I'd be all over that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, see, I like putting that in my hot chocolates.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a good
That's
time.
I've never done that, but that strikes me as a fantastic idea.
Kahlua and hot chocolate, peppermint schnapps and hot chocolate. It's a good time. One of the two. You can't do both because that'd be a strong ass drink. Isn't whiskey and coffee called an Irish whiskey? I wouldn't know, is it? Or an
Yes.
Irish coffee. It's called an Irish coffee.
Some people, in my experience, some people call an Irish coffee when you put like your Jameson's or whatever Irish whiskey, your Tullamore Dew into your coffee. Yeah, that's Irishing it up. But I know other people that unless you're putting Irish cream in there as well, it doesn't count. I don't know. I know that I know the Irish get slapped around hard, man, when it comes to liquor. That's what I can tell you for sure.
Yeah, just a bit.
I'm going to Irish this coffee up a little bit. Whenever you're Irishing up anything, it doesn't mean being patriotic or being Catholic or
No, it just
Protestant.
means
It's
putting
liquor.
alcohol in it.
Yep. It means anything Irish means fucking booze. And it's like, yo, man, the
I
Irish
can
have it
get
hard.
behind that. All right, it's fine. Polly, I'd like to throw back to earlier in our conversation because I said I wanted
Okay.
to talk about it, and then we just completely derailed from it. So we talked about Onision, but we did not talk about the Chris Hansen nonsense, and I
Okay.
have opinions on that too.
Oh, all right.
Have you been following along with the Chris Hansen nonsense?
Like in terms of Vincent, like, and the money Hansen owes, or which part?
That and also like so Hansen's actually been on YouTube for a lot longer than just the stint of this Onision drama, right? It's been for maybe a year, give or take. Um,
Oh,
and the way that the business practices surrounding Hansen and his team and everything regarding the YouTube sphere has kind of read to me a little bit akin to botchery. Like it was not handled decently in
oh,
all cases.
oh. I was like, he got depraved. I thought you said debauchery.
No,
Oh
no, no,
no,
no.
yeah, like
Just
he's botching
like he's
it up.
botched
I
it.
get you. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have been clearer. There have been allegations of, you know,
Oh,
doxing
really
people who
quick.
disagree with him. Oh, sorry.
Well, not the Streamlabs. It's just a comment. Ercole de Stefano, Romana Sambuca, and coffee, all the way, all the way. Sambuca and coffee is fucking magical. Especially in like good espresso, fucking amazing. I'm sorry. Go on, Weebs.
Well, okay, so prior to the Onision nonsense, and I don't even maybe up leading up into like right now regarding Vincent specifically, but also because he's been hired by Chris Hansen, it also involves Chris Hansen. There's been some doxing allegations regarding people who've been hypercritical of um, Vince and Hansen and whatnot. Maybe not agreeable. There's been YouTube copyright strikes on people's videos of Hansen's streams and whatnot to a level that most YouTubers would be like, that's no, it's bad. Don't do that. And I get it. Hansen's not internet people. To coin a phrase, or to not coin a phrase, but to borrow a phrase from a certain internet wrestler.
Well, to be blunt, Hanson's a full-on fucking boomer. Not doesn't mean you can't dig the guy's stuff. It's just, man, the guy fits every description of a fucking tech boomer. But go on.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So he needs a little bit more help. But there's also the matter of you found a guy on the internet to be your tech guy, and you're not going to pay him. Instead, the man agrees. He does agree, by the way. Vince agreed to do it all for simply the exposure of it, to maintain the website, and to maintain all of the other technical aspects of the Chris Hansen experience that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this has led to a lot of vitriol between parties, specifically Hansen and Vince and everyone else. In addition to that, there's also been the mishandling of the laptop that has supposedly a whole bunch of evidence on it that was supposed to be forwarded off to the FBI. And so my perspective on this is Chris Hansen's not helping.
Yeah. You know what? I've heard all the things and you talked about, and I agree across the board with pretty much everything you said, except for the last part. But okay, so like I said, Far and I had been following this the whole time, watched all these things, and we're pretty much of the same mind of it. Like, remember the early interviews that Hansen was doing where Vincent would have his face up on camera the whole interview?
Yeah.
And the question is, why? Because he wasn't saying anything. He just wanted that kind of exposure. He's not even acting as a producer that you will see on some shows where the producer will be in a very limited way part of the discussion. So you will see him on camera from time to time. That kind of thing. He didn't even bother to minimize his face or anything. There was a boomer-esque quality to the whole thing. Like, what the fuck kind of sideshow is this? If it wasn't for Hansen's cred and name and popularity, nobody would be watching. You know what I mean? It makes me wonder. And Weebs, you or I could have done a better job for Chris Hansen than Vincent did. Absolutely. I 100% faith. Monkey could have done a better job producing for it. Sinatra could have done a better job producing for it. Because all of us know just how to run a basic stream better than Vincent did, is the blunt truth. Yeah. I think that Hansen is so uninformed. And I'm not even trying to be critical. I'm just trying to just sort of state it as I see it, right? It's not meant to say the man sucks. It's just he's obviously really uninformed on the YouTube environment. He's a normie and a boomer and came in, and it seems like he found some guy that knew basically what he was doing, at least enough to convince.
That had an idea, enough of a grasp on the concept to
convince Hansen that he knew what he was doing.
And that makes sense. But the fact that it's taken this long. You know?
Yeah. You know the phrase hit the ground running? Hansen hit the ground and stumbled and broke his hip.
Yes.
Like this, it could have gone a lot fucking better. It's only because of the quality that he has as being a kind of very charismatic interviewer. I'm not saying he's the greatest interviewer of all time, but Hansen can
I have opinions on that too.
Hansen can run an interview such that a wide swath of people are going to watch, and it's not going to be obnoxious. That's about the best claim I can have for him. What they call a crowd pleaser, meaning in a very basic way, it's going to appeal to a wide swath of people. You know?
Yes, the To Catch a Predator, Chris Hansen, Zombie Teddy, just to clarify. This is the one that we're talking about. He's on YouTube now.
Yes.
So his interview style is a little bit wonky. I found he has a tendency to kind of cut guests off in the middle of the stories that they're telling. Maybe not giving them the full opportunity to finish off what it is that they're saying. At least that's what I've noticed. And it's distracting, at least for me. I don't know about you. Do you notice anything wonky about it?
The only thing that I notice about it is that it's network TV style interviewing, where it's, and hey man, the guy was there for 30 plus years, whatever the fuck. I get it. Like, it's tried and true methods and all that. But the statements of, or rather the questions that are designed to elicit a very particular kind of cuttable, clickable statement. What do you think should happen to Onision and Kai? What do you think would be a satisfactory end to this for you? Do you feel that you were victimized? Those are questions designed to elicit a very particular response.
Yeah.
That can then be cut out of, I feel that I've been victimized, where the person will repeat the question in the statement because it's that kind of question. You know,
it's like, how dare you ask me such a ridiculous no-brainer? Yeah.
Yeah, of course I was victimized. And then they cut it at, of course I was victimized. If you want to see how the sausage is made in terms of network TV interviews, watch Chris Hansen interviewing somebody. They don't run the full long-form, hour-long interview on network TV. They just clip out the juicy parts, and he's used to being able to elicit the juicy parts. So you ask, what do I find wonky about that? Yeah.
And then because I wanted to inquire not just with Polly, but the rest of my audience, for those who have been following this whole shitbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Hansen showing up on Onision's house. Thoughts?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't.
So Chris
I was reading
Hansen.
chat and it didn't register. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Chris Hansen showed up at Onision's house.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that unleashed a whole can of worms. But like taking it from the actual visiting of his house, like going to the neighborhood where he lives, knocking on his front door. That's got some big dick energy, dick move right there. But also, I am of the opinion that it crossed over into territory that I'm not comfortable with.
Yes. I mean, my calls on it, I think, are the majority of people are making the same call, so I got no original opinion here.
I don't know. I feel like people have been disagreeing with me on that point.
Really? No, not in my what I've heard. It's like I go basically like this. One, Chris Hansen cut his teeth in terms of confrontation with people, and he thought that would be a good thing to do. It was a bad move, and it was a bad look. It wasn't illegal what he did. It's completely expected of a journalist to roll this way. This is the way journalists roll, like confrontation. But if you ever confronted them at their house, they would, what are you doing? This is completely inappropriate. When they're used to acting inappropriately, it's not illegal to walk up and knock on someone's door, but it's weird and it was a bad look for you. It wasn't going to help what you were doing. I don't understand how you thought it was a good idea. You need to get out of that to catch a predator mindset, buddy. You're not running the same old show where the confrontational have a seat bullshit works. You're running a YouTube channel with interviews now. You need to adapt. And this was a sign of a lack of adaptation, trying to roll with old ways, and you ended up even making people that wanted to be on your side kind of look at you a little sideways.
It to me felt like he was trying to pioneer a type of YouTubeism on YouTube, because he specifically, and I'm not sure if this is a direct quote, but he's like, I brought my brand of journalism to YouTube, and that's what I've done here. And I'm like, but this isn't how things are done. This is very uncomfortable when people are approached at their places of residence by people that they have an online beef with. It sends up red flags, and it sent up red flags with me when I watched this video on YouTube when he published it there. And I was just like, there are kids in that house. His wife's there. That's where he lives. People can actually see this building. And yes, I know that Onision's been doxxed, but this makes it real for people, real to the point where now we have people who are attempting to essentially, did you hear the phone calls? The guy was attempting to get Onision swatted from across the country using a fake accent. This happened twice, at the very least. That is what that opens up the door to.
Well, I mean, Assassin of the Gray says he was using standard operating procedure he has for years. He just does not have the network lawyers working behind him anymore. I hear you. I think that's what Weebs is kind of saying too. It's just pioneered a new kind of YouTube. I'm bringing my style of journalism to YouTube. Yeah, I think that's a really fair analysis of what's going on. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. What did you want to come out of it? I think even he goddamn well knows he made a mistake. I don't think he's going to repeat something like that again because of the kind of feedback he got, where it's the guy is in the deep end of the pool, jumping into YouTube, not being a normie, being a boomer, and talking about Onision like the weirdest of the weirdos, or one of the very weird weirdos online. There's a hell of a lot weirder than that online. I get
absolutely.
That. But he dived into the deep end of the pool, and he's just figuring out how to wade water. I say that not in defense of him, but just sort of like, what the fuck were you thinking? Well, like Assassin of the Gray said, he was running with his standard operating procedure. I can bring this to YouTube. It won't work here, man. It made it look 100% like you were an IRL streamer, and everybody knows how that goes. People are viewed. It becomes lolcow territory of Andy Worski screaming, "Stay back!" Like, it just don't go there.
It escalates situations. But I even in a like typical journalistic way, I don't like the idea of people just showing up at someone's house just to kind of like ambush them with that kind of questioning, even if it's not going directly to YouTube immediately afterwards, even if it's done by a professional broadcasting company. It makes me uncomfortable.
I hear you. That's what I meant when I said journalists are used to doing this, right? They're used to being confrontational and invasive in a way that if it were done to them, they immediately recoil and start talking about their rights as a journalist. They wrap themselves up in the free press clause of the First Amendment. Journalists really do think they're an elite group, not in society, but over and above it. They really have developed that opinion of themselves.
Is Chris Hansen, like, has his career been one of actual journalism?
Well, you know what? It made it look like going to Onision's house, made it look like you were after the sensational angle. And for people who criticize Hansen with the question you just asked, was it ever really journalism you were doing? You know what? You're confirming that you weren't by pulling shit that just reeks of sensationalism, like going to his house. What were you going to get out of it other than a juicy confrontation?
I don't know.
Think about the questions he was asking at the door. They are the standard boring fare that every journalist offers. You have a chance to tell your side of the story.
Because that's enticing.
Yeah, I'm just like a lot of people have questions. There's a lot of questions, Greg. I'm just, this is a platform for you. They say those lines to everybody. People that are at nothing but victims of a situation. I'm not saying Greg is. I'm saying they want to talk to somebody who's just purely a victim of a sensationalized news story. They will confront them and say, you could tell your side of the story. It's like, what side of the story? They're not being lied on. They still use that same terminology, right? Why don't you just say, we're offering you 15 minutes of fame to seem like a righteous victim?
Let's be honest with the people about what we're looking for, guys.
Yeah. I'm offering you a chance to help me promote my own career. Why don't you want to help me? I'm looking for a Pulitzer Prize. I want to go national news. Why aren't you helping me? And it's somebody said in chat, I find people knocking on someone's door to be hilarious or interesting or whatever. You know what? There's a lot of people's like, why shouldn't he be confronted? There's nothing illegal about knocking on someone's door. You do it once, it's weird, strange, what the fuck. Okay. You do it more than once, it becomes harassment. I don't believe knocking on someone's door, even Chris Hansen knocking on someone's door, constitutes harassment. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what the laws are in Washington state for that. It just doesn't seem like it is to me. It seems annoying and invasive and weird, and he should be looked at for that. I'd like to think that generally people looking at you sideways when you do shit like that would keep journalists in line. Apparently it doesn't.
And then there's also the matter of like the neighborhood as well. I don't know if you were watching the the Billy the Fridge stream. Irie Prostate reminded me of this last night, actually. But Billy the Fridge, he used to be friends with, I don't know if they're still friends, but was friends with Onision at one point and went up to his house, was live streaming like the whole day, and went up to his house and they had like a discussion. And one of the neighbors of Onision came out and she's like, yeah, no, we don't want this in our neighborhood. We don't want this here. Please take it away. You're trespassing, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, what about the concern for all of the other people in that area? This is a disturbance that you're not just causing for Onision, that you're not just causing for his family, but you're causing for his neighbors and the other people around him. And sure, he's kind of egged it on Onision, but we're also part of that now.
Yeah, you know what? You mentioning that made me think of something else. If Hansen was going full scumbag journalist attempting to wrap themselves in a veneer of professionalism, he would have done what I don't think he did, which is go to every single neighbor of Onision in the same way, knock on their door with a camera crew and ask them, what do you think of the fact that you're living? Are you aware of what has been going on around you? Because if you can't talk to the person themselves, go talk to their coworkers, go talk to their boss, go find Onision's mother, talk to the person's family. That's classic bullshit for journalists to pull. We can't talk to the person. We'll talk to everybody who knows them, everyone who's related to them, just to get some kind of snippet. If you watch mainstream news, you see it happen all the time. Somebody's a victim of something or someone's a perpetrator of something. We can't talk to them because they're dead or in jail or unavailable. We can't find them, whatever. They'll go talk to anyone and everyone around them. So they've got something to put on their goddamn station.
The more that we talk about this, the less I like journalists.
Well, anyone who's ever listened to me at all knows that I beat the drum of journalism is them as a protected class is the most dangerous thing. Them being viewed as not being incredibly biased, especially politically in current year. Oh man, the idea of that we can openly say that there's a liberal network, MSNBC, CNN, there's a conservative network, Fox and Breitbart, that we can do that speaks volumes, that it's on the face of it. We know, and that Tucker Carlson, hey, listen, I like Tucker Carlson too. He's funny, a funny guy. He can turn a phrase. He's got great witticisms, but it's not news. And he openly says it though. I'm not a journalist. I'm a talk show host, and this is a talk show. Rachel Maddow isn't nearly as upfront about it. Don Lemon outright lies through his bullshit face about it, calling himself a journalist when he's doing what Maddow, Hannity, and Carlson are doing, which is running a talk show. But all of them are doing it on a news network. So they're all receiving the reflected glory of so-called journalistic objectivity. And it's fucking garbage, man. I mean, these people, like, all of these people have more in common with The View than they do with journalism.
I hope I never get that famous, you know?
I hope,
to that point. I hope I never get that famous to that point where that's a concern. Like, I have to worry about journalists that can't get to me but want to know more about me to sensationalize me. And then they interview, like, my family, my freshman year roommate, my sophomore year English professor, or whatever.
I mean, you'd have to be pretty controversial for that to happen, and
I know.
rare, but it shows you the lengths that they're going to. I would more worry about something like the way they went after Han Asshole Solo for that fucking meme of Donald Trump beating the gif of CNN. It was like, this is clearly a call for violence against the media. What?
Clearly, yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that was them being.
Too.
Yeah, that. They actually said it. Anna Navarro, paid contributor to CNN. Oh my God. Paid drama stirrer, Anna Navarro. This is clearly a call for violence against the media because Donald Trump said so. This is clearly an opportunity for you to yak your mouth off. You belong on The View. Oh, right. You were a guest on The View and you fit right in.
Yeah, someone mentioned the Fourth Estate. Exactly. You're right. Except, actually, I think they might be like, bumped the Third Estate down to the Fourth Estate, and now they're the Third Estate because that's the hierarchy of the estates, right? If you're looking at it, the First Estate was the nobility, Second Estate was the clergy, Third Estate journalists, Fourth Estate everyone else, us normies.
And they're supposed to be outside of that. And I like Next 6 Minutes call. Journalism has been romanticized in part because of movies and television. Yes, Woodward and Bernstein at the Washington Post running around like gumshoes, ferreting out the news and eventually bringing a president down. My God, the citizen media, aren't they noble? And I'm not even making a claim about anything Woodward and Bernstein did with their coverage of Watergate, but that was only part of the Watergate story. It's not like Nixon wouldn't have been impeached anyway. He absolutely would have. It's just the sensationalism rose up around it. Arguably, the two congressional hearings that happened, the Otis and Church committees in both the Senate and the House respectively, or the other way around, would have not happened if it wasn't for that level of sensationalism and Church finding a way to go on a fucking crusade against CIA because what was happening over at the Washington Post. Like, what does that really call for that? I think it's a good thing that the standing committees in both the Senate and the House came out of that. The oversight committees of intelligence came out of that. But I agree with Six's statement that it's a romanticization and a lionization. You argued about what a state they would be. I would argue that they have the most in common with the clergy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there isn't the It's a secular clergy, but it's a clergy nonetheless, because they view themselves as the gatekeepers, that you cannot become a viable political candidate without their approval. That's the way they see it. Right? Why would 9 Democratic candidates all raise their hands when asked by a journalist, do you support full health care for undocumented immigrants? We're going to use our particular terminology for this situation, and we're going to hold you to it. And all 9 of them raise their hand when poll after poll shows Democratic voters. It's not worried about Republicans. It's not worried about swing voters or non-voters. Republican or Democratic voters don't support that. All 9 candidates raise their hand. Why? My guess, there's no way they're going to be the one who doesn't raise their hand. They would be shut out by the media, and they need that coverage.
Of course.
The media functions as a clergy gatekeeper. The aristocracy and the royalty need clergy approval. They need to work together. That's how the system works, right? If you want to look at the French system that we're talking about, even though it's outmoded and moot at this point, but if you want to use that as the analysis, yeah, media view themselves as the clergy. We hold the truth. We hold truth. We keep we speak truth to power is the constant phrase they say. Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. They're labeling themselves as the holders of the light.
The gatekeepers of truth and all that is holy in the world. If you go against us, you've committed blasphemy against the gods. Yeah, no, I can get it. So they would be the second estate.
I think there's that analogy has severe limitations, but if
oh,
you want
absolutely.
But if you want to apply it, you are not an extra specialist state anymore. You have much more in common with the clergy, corporate media.
Mm-hmm. Truth holders. Pete says in chat, I remember an investigative journalist in the 60s or 70s who went undercover and got herself admitted as a mental patient to see what was actually going on at a mental hospital. That was a real journo. Do we actually have people that are like that nowadays? Because I'm struggling to see or find anything that's, on that level.
That's investigative journalism in a very big way, what that lady did.
Oh, yeah.
That would be an example of extreme undercover investigative journalism. Let's step back from undercover and just talk about investigative journalism.
Yeah, that's what Chris Hansen is purporting himself as, an investigative journalist.
Yeah,
but he's doing it, super publicly.
Faithless brings up Project Veritas. There's current, active, effective, undercover investigative journalism. And they are smeared by CNN nationally, who do not even have an investigative journalism department. They got rid of it.
What up with that? Is it just not profitable or something? They made a movie about investigative journalists. You remember, was it Spotlight?
Yeah. Well, they of course, they did. And of the most noble thing at all, exposing pedophilia, or rather abuse, within the Catholic Church. The safest, lowest hanging fruit you possibly could to make yourselves look righteous, to make the news media. That is what Six was talking about. All the President's Men with Robert Redford and guy that everyone thinks is a great actor that I don't really like. I forget his name.
Jason Momoa?
No.
No. I just recall you saying that you don't like Jason Momoa because of silly reasons.
He married my childhood crush, okay? I mean, so they go after the Catholic Church, which isn't just low-hanging fruit. That's rotten, fossilized fruit that's been buried under the soil that fell off the tree in the Neolithic era.
Wow, that's rather specific way to put it.
It's the safest thing that you can claim you're exposing, is my point.
Yeah. I mean, that stood out to me as something that doesn't really get done anymore.
Cult of Krill says it, and this is my point. More child abuse goes on in schools than ever did in the church. Amen.
You're right. Right.
It's inside of predators are going to find their way, male and female, to places where they can ply their disgusting trade. Except and I get it, there's an extra, but this is the church. It's supposed to be better than that. Well, if you look at
schools.
if you look at it, it actually is of a lower account, the disgusting thing that's going on with the Catholic Church is covering it up. Because, yeah, they do realize they're supposed to be better than that. The instances of pedophilia are not any higher in the Catholic Church than they are in other institutions. The scandal is around the cover up, and that's the awful part. But the actual levels of abuse go on more in schools, go on more in any institution that has children in it than it does in the church. So I'm not saying that it should be forgiven or forgotten about. It's just the sheer amount of times you can't mention Catholic priests now without someone cracking a lame joke about a pedophile.
Yeah.
It's that far gone, but we don't ever do that about teachers.
And it's funny because the amount of stories that I've seen of female teachers, diddling little boys.
Wikipedia snippet says hanging fruit lol. Okay, that's good.
But no, the amount of times that I've seen articles just in like the last year, so like February 2nd, 2019 to now, is unfortunately excessively high to the point where I'm like, do I want to have children that might get diddled at their public school by their teacher? Like, I don't know.
Not covered in major news media and making Hollywood films about it. About the relatively,
it's like every week
relatively hot blonde teacher who's been fucking all her students and gets away with it. Let's see a Hollywood movie about that.
Every week there's a new teacher that is exactly like that. And to the point where I'm like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go. And it's not even editorialized in a way that's proper to what it is, because it's rape of a child, rape of a minor. It's teacher has sex with student, loses license, whatever, gets X amount of days in jail, county lockup. And it's
Angela says Dustin Hoffman. Thank you. That's who I was trying to think of. The actor who everyone thinks is. I've just never really. I don't hate Dustin Hoffman. He's just got this status as this incredible actor, and I've never really thought he was that great. I don't hate him. I just big deal is my call on him. Robert Redford, on the other hand, he's awesome. Except when he made that fucking film making the Weather Underground look like a bunch of righteous heroes. What the fuck were you thinking, old man? They were domestic terrorists. Are you out of your mind? They were a communist cadre of their own description trying to bring down the federal government by bombing buildings, and you made them look like fucking heroes. Why? Because they were opposed to the Vietnam War? What other fucking violent...
It's called creative license. Calm down.
I got a big beef with the Weather Underground, okay? Like the way that they...
How do you?
Yes, and you know where it comes from? Because all of these people, the majority of them, are employed in academia now and seen as, wow, a real hero revolutionary from the 60s. Like they're looked upon as like gurus or something. Because academia in certain places is so fucking far to the left. You're willing to lionize fucking terrorists. And it drives me a little nuts. Oh, yeah. Tootsie. Faithless brings up Tootsie. Why isn't that transphobic? Why aren't we trying to cancel Dustin Hoffman?
I've never seen Tootsie, so I don't know.
He dresses up like a woman. The short version of the story.
Hang on. Doesn't White Girls also have characters that not only sport whiteface, but also men that dress as women?
Listen, whiteface, blackface, it's not a real thing. I think we should know that by now. It's a targeted attack to bring down people you don't like. Otherwise, the current governor of Virginia and the current prime minister of Canada wouldn't be in those political positions they're in if it was actually the transgression we've been led to believe.
It's different.
I know it's different. Yeah. Oh, I get that it's fucking different, all right.
Oh, Mrs. Doubtfire, another good one. Actually, I loved that movie as a kid. It hit home because it's about a divorcee father that just wants to see his kids. I'm like,
I feel like we're turning into a gripe stream here. You want to change the subject radically to other fun things?
Yeah, sure. What do you got? You have something?
I do. I have pictures and memes.
Memes are they Kobe Bryant?
I have things that should be memes. Let's put it that way.
Are they Kobe Bryant memes? Because we might get in trouble for those.
No, they're not Kobe Bryant memes. I do have Kobe Bryant memes, but I won't show them here.
You show them to me after the show when it's safe.
All right.
Okay. What am I looking at? And why does that peanut have lips and teeth? And only one row of teeth at that. Like, where's the bottom row? Polly, why is it in a cage? What did the peanut do to get locked in a cage? I need to know this.
Well, also,
This is
notice that the
upsetting.
cage has been broken into repeatedly. So what?
Is that peanut experiencing some damage to its exterior shell? Because
Which is why I think the fencing was put up, which I think is this picture spot. I collect offensive art, and I don't mean offensive like ethnically or whatever the fuck. I mean
no, just
offensive.
like this is offensive to my sensibilities as a delicate woman. I don't like this. It doesn't aesthetically please me.
It's aesthetically offensive. That's
This
exactly like it's. Some people call it kitsch. Some people call it tacky. I call it hilarious. Okay,
that peanut is Jimmy Carter's spirit animal, says Phasno4.
right, right. This
What's
who paid for this? It's along a highway. I'm guessing. The fuck is who approved this?
is it a monument to Mr. Peanut, who, rest in peace, is dead now? I'm curious. Inquiring minds want to know, Polly, where is this from?
I have no idea. I just
Why
found
do
it
you have
online.
it then? Like, where?
I told
Okay,
you
we
I
don't
collect
know-
tacky art because I think it's hilarious. It
But,
always
like, you-
gives me a good laugh.
You never got curious as to like where the origin of this monstrosity is? What body of government within the states? Because it's obviously somewhere in the states.
Yes.
Let's be honest, people.
Yeah,
But
this
what
is not from
governing
Europe.
body within the states authorized this to be a thing?
And well, Richard Art says this is an old meme. Hey man, I'd be willing to believe it, and I came across it extremely late. I have no idea what's going on with this. I get the idea of putting a face on a peanut. Okay, as a giant peanut.
There's not
but
even a face there. It's just a mouth. Holly, it is just a mouth. That's not a face.
That's what I'm saying. I get the idea of putting a face on a peanut, but y'all have failed. Like, in other words, it's the you had one job meme come to life, you know?
There's no nose, there's no eyes, there's no ears. I don't see anything that would indicate to me that this is the cousin of a Mr. Peanut. This looks like the thing that I hide from under my covers that's under my bed.
It's Avicus Dibali says it is Georgia. I would not be remotely surprised if this went up in Georgia. Lots of peanut farms, etc. Jimmy Carter. It's a fail. Somebody got paid a lot of money to come up with a piece of peanut art, and this was it, and you failed.
I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me.
Let's go on to what should be a good piece of art, but isn't.
Okay.
Oh, hey, look, I got a screen freeze of you.
Really?
Yeah.
How about now? Is it still frozen?
No, I took a screen freeze of you making no one even has to be good at their pause game to get great looks from you, because you have this really expressive face, and if somebody pauses you at any moment, you're going to be doing something funny. It's great.
Mm-hmm. It's the greatest gift that I have from my parents. Wait, okay, zoom in, because I can't quite see what's going on here.
It's not a terribly high-res image, so I will zoom in more than I already have, but it's going to get blurry just so everyone knows.
All right. Is this like someone sucker punched the Statue of Liberty in the gut?
It looks like Goku just fucking power kicked her in the stomach, and you can't see him. What's going on? Like, no matter what angle you look at this statue from, it looks like she's being yeeted right out of existence with a power kick.
Yeah, why are you immortalizing this in statue form? Like, there are some regal statue poses. I do quite a few of them on the daily in preparation for when it is that I have myself a marble statue of myself. And so I would know these things. And one of the things that I know is this is not an easy position to maintain for statue sculpting, by the way.
I'll tell you what this is.
What?
Golden Age Radio says it. This is Sparta.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here. It's the other end of This Is Sparta. Like, I feel like I'm missing half of the statue story here. There's got to be something else somewhere else. Is it cropped in some way? Is there another character playing here?
Well, okay. So, Zombie Ted, I have no answers. This is short, but Zombie Ted, yes. What's wrong with her nose? That's not actually her nose. This is hair flying up because she's being thrust back with such velocity. I don't get it at all. I forget who it is. I looked it up one time. I did a 10-eye reverse image search. you're right. It's a really awkward position for the art to be in, and it's metal. And Wikipedia snippet mentioned it's been around for a while. Look at the green patina on it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So copper, what have you, some kind of alloy in that way. Um, it it's been around for a while. I find it so not cheap is the short version of the story. This is well done. Look at the folds and everything.
Yeah.
This is an artist who did
Attention to
this.
detail.
And it's
What
so
were they going for, though? That's my question.
that's what I'm saying. You pay a obviously skilled artist a lot of money to put something together over time. These things are not done quickly.
No.
What's up with this? So that's all I got.
I'm confused. All right, next image.
Okay.
It amuses me that you just have all of this.
Here we go.
Shh. It's okay.
What is there to say? I think it kind of speaks for itself. What the fuck?
I don't even need to make fun of it.
Yeah. This is. I get it's a classic aesthetic to have the fat Buddha. Did you need to make the horse fat as well?
I didn't know a horse could be that thick in the bones near the legs.
Yeah. It's like well, he's got a big fat belly and a big fat butt. Clearly the horse needs to have big fat legs. All right.
In order to stand properly. I mean, yeah, logistically speaking, it makes sense. Why not an elephant, though? Since it's the Buddha and we're talking about Asia, it makes only sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's what the fucking me. I didn't make these things, guys. What?
Fuck, Polly. How dare you make me look at this with my own two eyeballs?
It's how ridiculously small the horse's head is. I've looked at this picture before, and I think...
Oh, no, not small. It's frumpy and short. It's stubby. The neck is stubby. Look at that.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so they're not all statue pictures I have. We're going to move on to gun pictures because there's a few firearms appreciators here, including Weebo and myself. Okay, 2 cursed gun images.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Do I want to look?
Look at this. Look at this criminality. Look at this. Into the sun. Somebody has put a 50 BMG round into a 12 gauge shotgun chamber, and yes, that will work. Don't do it.
Polly, why not? Explain, Polly. I'm confused.
It will explode like an angry Islamist. Okay, that's why. You created an unintentional pipe bomb of sorts.
So in a pinch, if you're in a fist fight with a guy and you don't want to shoot him, but you want him to explode himself, you just make it seem like he got the gun when you didn't want him to, and then he goes to shoot you and he goes boom.
I mean, this is so cursed. This is so idiotic. It
will work once, says Wikipedia snippet. Yeah, no, the boom boom stick will go kaboom boom.
Yeah. I don't know if you'd actually be able to close the bolt on it. I'm guessing not. I think it will just fit in the chamber. But if you can somehow manage to close the bolt on it, or what if it's a unfixed firing pin, and it's a semi-auto like this is? You see the bolt release right here, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you drop the bolt on it and it's not a fixed firing pin, you might get a slam fire with it, which means splodies.
I like splodies. Pete says, I bet there's a video of someone actually firing that on YouTube somewhere. Yeah.
That's
most likely.
That's the kind of thing where you see people do it when they're testing new Wildcat rounds that they have or whatever, and they want to take it to the next level of security, even though they've taken their steps. They'll put a string around the trigger and walk and hide behind a tree when they put the rifle or the shotgun, in this case, into a gun vise. Yeah, okay. I would like to see that for the sake of this is why you don't do it. You know what I mean? This is a cursed image. It just drives me nuts to look at this because that don't go in there.
That go boom boom real good. Real good. That's some Allahu Akbar shit.
All right. Look at this monstrosity.
Polly, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know what you're talking about. This is completely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong
This is a formerly California legal Kalashnikov.
Uh-huh.
And so why, you may ask, what's going on there? And not currently, but formerly, this was legal in California because assault weapon laws, quote unquote here, so-called assault weapons laws, you can ban things by name, which they do, right? But more often than not, the politicians that are gun grabbers want to cast a wide net. So they name them, excuse me, they prohibit them or restrict them by mechanical description, like the 1994 assault weapons ban, so-called assault weapons ban at the federal level. It's any semi-automatic rifle that has a detachable box magazine and any one of the number of following features, that kind of thing. A lot of laws read this way to cast as wide a net as possible, right? A lot of them are a vertical grip because they're going after cosmetic features. So, this doesn't have a vertical grip. It's got a sporter style grip. So somebody created an adapter to be able to attach a sporter style stock from, I don't know, what company made this? It looks kind of
that looks like a specialty job, not gonna lie.
Joys of Soros says, why are you looking at California compliant rifles? Because it's cursed. We're looking at things to make us cringe.
Why are you looking at California compliant rifles?
Because
we like to torture ourselves.
So all of the talk around that, it's like, that's why it's got that stock on there. That's why it has the mag well sealed off, so you can just load it through a 4 or 5 round internal blind mag. So how do you convert your Kalashnikov, your AK variant, whatever it is, to still be able to be legal in California formerly? Well, you have to do shit like this to it, and they still ended up prohibiting and restricting it anyway.
All right, Polly, we need to move on. The audience is upset.
I cry. Why, Polly? Why?
You are upsetting the viewership. We want to gain viewers, not lose them by the tens.
That's all I had. I had 5 pictures. I could get more. Those were the 5 I brought up.
Next time, Polly, on Cocktail Hour.
Yeah, right. So
Let me make you cry.
We had
more.
weird peanuts and we had other things. We do this a lot on Noir Bar. Just bring up weird images and freak out over them because it's fun. Yeah.
I'm just amazed that you can buy Hello Kitty colored guns. Can you?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. The prints that are available for guns, not just Cerakoting anymore. You can buy, Hello Kitty, My Little Pony, weird shit that people do to their guns just to freak people out.
Strange. Yeah. This stream has turned into a Discord voice chat. You're not wrong, Pete. You're not wrong at all. In fact, you are more right than you think.
Oh, here, look. Here, one final one.
This is exactly how Polly and I interact over Discord.
Somebody brought up...
oh, no.
Hello Kitty.
No.
Here's one last cursed gun image.
Oh, no. Oh, yes.
This is a Thomas Tank Engine lunchbox that somebody has converted to house an Ingram Mac 11.
Interesting.
Why?
For what possible reason do you think a person would have to convert a Thomas the Tank Engine lunchbox into a gun? The possibilities escape me. Truly.
All I know is I just found this the other day. I have yet to do it, but I'm gonna DM this over to Sinatra because I know he's gonna love this.
This is a school shooting waiting to happen. I'm calling it now.
I love how it's just like it's unbalanced, the barrel coming out of one eye. It just looks so awkward and awesome and weird all at the same time.
No, you have to make it come out of the mouthpiece. Duh. Why is it attached to a Skyrim dragon? Devil Fruit Zero asks. That's a good question. Why is it attached to a Skyrim dragon, Polly? Inquiring ones want to know. Have you not seen those mod videos?
No, not at all.
Polly! Okay, I know what we're doing after this. I'm exposing you to the world of Skyrim mods.
Oh, great.
It's a great time.
You know what I've been thinking is we need to do a certain kind of gun stream, gun videos, content. Because there's people that like talking about guns, and there's reloading channels that I love that are on a very technical level. It's like gun nerdery. There's other guns that are just, or other videos that are just gun porn, stuff like that. But there's no discussion points. We should do a weekly gun stream. There's lots of people who like guns. Nobody needs to be an expert there. Let's just talk about what we like, that kind of thing.
I am not in any capacity an expert on firearms except for shooting them, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
that's the extent of my knowledge. I know what they're supposed to look like. I couldn't tell you their names if you quizzed me on them.
But that's what I mean. If it was, because there is so much bullshit bro science and people talking outside their lane and trying to sound like the expert, and I did this or that. I would like a stream where it's the fun gun stream where people talk about 22 plinking because it's awesome. If you don't enjoy shooting soda cans with a 22, get out more. You're destroying the fun of it. Like, just a fun stream around guns where no one's an expert. We're just talking it.
We could call it the double pew. Like pew pew.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, we should talk to a few people about this. Sinatra would be in that for sure. I mean, he loves the shit. You'd be fun there.
Running Gun News, definitely. He's a big guns person.
Who did I sort of talked over you there? Who?
Running Gun News.
Oh yeah. It would be fun.
60 might have a thing or two to say about that.
I'll bet.
That's why you just sit there and look pretty and let Polly do the talking, Joyce of Sorrow says. Wow. Rude.
Damn. Oh, TOS says, I use an AR-7 for plinking. I've always wanted an AR. See, AR-7s are cheap. I don't have a lot of money. It's an interesting gun. It's an actual Eugene Stoner design. There's better takedown 22s, arguably, but I want one. It's classic. It's an actual Stoner. The look of it is cool. They've got great stories behind them. I want one. I just don't have the money to go blow like $200 on one. That's all.
That's my graduation present to myself is a gun.
Oh.
I don't have it picked out yet, but I'm pretty set in the notion that it's going to be a revolver. You want to know why?
Classic. I like it.
Because they don't jam up.
Shh. Someone's gonna bring up a Glock if you say that. Glocks never jam.
Revolvers are better. All right, we're just gonna go with that. Yes, the reload time on those are abysmal if you don't know what you're doing. But for the most part, in terms of self-defense, the revolver is what you want to go with. I've heard. I'm open to be corrected on this. I might not be correct. That's all I'm saying. But that's what I've heard.
See, you know what? If it was a friendly environment where it's like you come in here with some harsh condemnations, you're going to be like not welcome here because that's not what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's about cracking jokes. Yes, Glocks jam. Yes, revolvers jam. They can malfunction. Statistically, they're less likely to do so. Just general fun. You know what I mean?
All right. I'm being told it's almost impossible, but not impossible, and that they do jam up if you don't clean them properly. Well, that's why you got to clean things properly. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys know this, but your girl Weebo is obsessively clean.
Your girl Weebo is the exact kind of person you want owning a gun because...
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am nothing if not anal about, gun control / or not gun control, but like keeping things in working order and, policing one's brass.
And...
all the things that you want. Making sure you're not in the line of fire with anyone and no one's in the line of fire with you. All that jazz.
Erica Lee brings up a good point. Glocks jam when you don't hold them right. Yeah, if you limp wrist them, Glocks are known to, have failures to eject, failures to feed. It happens. It doesn't make them crappy guns, and Assassin of the Graces autoloaders are very reliable. For the most part, modern autoloaders that are well maintained are extremely reliable. Yes, and they have faster reloads. But there's no, unless we're talking about a cycling issue with a revolver, like meaning the actual revolving action as a problem. Yeah. One of the great parts about a revolver is in a tense situation, you don't need to resort to failure drills. You don't need to diagnose. Tap and rack becomes irrelevant. What happens if the gun goes click? You pull the trigger again. Mm-hmm. What happens
and it just
if something
moves it over?
Yeah. Like the solution is always the same with a revolver. Keep pulling the trigger. And unless there's something severely mechanically wrong, it will work. that level of severe mechanical fuck up will stop an autoloader from functioning. And there's nothing you'll be able to do to fix it, whether it's a type 1 or type 2 failure, et cetera, whatever language you want to use around it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if your gun's mechanically fuckered, it doesn't matter how many tap and rack procedures or type 2 procedures you have, or pull the mag, rack the slide, blah. That's not going to help you. So in a really tense, life-threatening situation, and you're worried about, like, hey, listen.
Is it going to lock up and jam?
Yeah. It's like, what happens if I get a misfire? Pull the trigger again. Well, what happens if I miss? Pull the trigger again. Like, the solution's always the same with a revolver. Pull the trigger again.
Pull. You're fine. Just point, shoot, pull. You're fine. Just do it. No balls. Yeah, that would be why I would choose that gun for, like, street self-defense. Whereas, I don't need to buy a shotgun because boyfriend's already got that covered. We Gucci.
Assassin of the Grey says Weebs needs 13 to 17 rounds, not 5 or 6. You dick.
I actually have I'm a decent shot, all right? Even with a handgun, even when it's got hella kickback.
If you're not taking the gun outside your house, like I say, it's not a concealed carry consideration, right? You're going to go to the range with it or whatever the fuck, but mostly in a defense situation, you're talking home defense, right?
Yeah, home defense, you want a shotgun.
Well, just somebody said, or Assassin of the Grey said 5 or 6 rounds. Man, look up them 8-shot 357 Magnum revolvers. I mean, it's a big cylinder, but they've got really thin chamber walls. They've managed to get it all the way to Smith & Wesson TRS, I think they're called. I think that's the model number. It's got an 8-shot 357 Magnum cylinder that you can load with 38 Special Plus Ps. That won't be at the Magnum level of jumping around on you, but it's going to be extremely defensively effective with 38 Special Plus Ps.
Someone told me to look up a 30-shot revolver. I think it was Daniel Fullman. Holy fucking shit! Polly.
Yes.
Polly.
I want to see the 30-shot revolver.
Look at that.
Hold on, let me...
There's a big boy there.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's something.
That's something. That doesn't look like it houses 30 shots, does it? Like, all right, hang on. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm assuming. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
I'm just having fun counting. The chambers just keep going. That's great.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. We're missing like 4 here, so then, yes, I guess it's a 30-shot one. Ooh, look at that. What caliber is that? That looks like something you don't want to mess around with. No. Yeah, that's a big boy.
Ian asked, how heavy is that fucking thing? Right?
You think that'll jam up, guys?
So we should talk about gun streams first, like some gun porn and some gun cringe and some different. Hey, have you seen this new gun that came out, like the Alien, that actually has been out for a while, but really premiered at SHOT Show this year? That's fascinating in terms of its innovative designs and shit like that. Yeah, a gun stream would be fun.
I'm down. We just have to, like, it's got to be a back burner thing because, you know what? I will put it on my list of things to do. And that way we will get it done.
Another Post-it note.
No, it's going on the calendar tasks tab.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how you know it's, like, seriously important to me.
Oh, chat, check this out. Speaking of things to do.
What is it? The double pew?
Yes.
All right.
I will not ASMR dirty gun talk to you, Six. Jesus.
You better. That's how we get all of the viewership, Polly. Don't you know that? That's how we make it big in this streaming world.
Well, I mean, I've got some opinions that people are. The truth is, it's like, what gun should I get for self-defense? Hey, man, reliability. So you've obviously shot it. You've proven to yourself that not just that kind of gun design, but that particular gun is reliable. If you have, you've taken to the range and it's demonstrated itself to be reliable and you're reliable with it. Let's assume that that's a non-issue, that you've taken care of that part already. What's the best gun? Man, confidence goes a long way. A long way. If you feel that you can shoot confidently, you've proven to yourself that you can shoot accurately with a revolver, then go with the fucking revolver. And, 'cause Assassin Grace is, a SIG or an FN or a Beretta. Any one of those are all quality producers of firearms, especially FN, which is underrated. They're and Glock too. Hey, listen, Glock's your fucking cup of tea. Go ahead. If that's what you can shoot, that's a quality gun. If it's reliable, and you can shoot accurately with it, have a good time.
I have a question for you, Polly.
Yeah.
In terms of carrying, I have a very specific person in mind that I want to talk about when we're talking about open carry or just carrying in general.
No, open carry is great because it's a whole different realm. You can carry big fucking guns and you don't have to worry about concealing any. Sorry, go ahead.
Caitlin Bennett and the way that she advertises, or at least her brand of activism for gun control. Thoughts? Is she helping the cause or is she hurting it?
Who are you talking about?
Caitlin Bennett, Kent State gun girl.
Oh, right.
Miss Poopy Pants.
Right. Whether people out there doing their thing are like helping or hurting, I don't know. It's like Second Amendment auditors that go places with AR-15s that they're legally allowed to go to, but they're like you said, deliberately attempting to be provocative. Is this a good thing? I don't know. It depends on how it plays itself out. I think that if you've ever been to Phoenix, constitutional carry, right? You walk into a coffee shop, and the two baristas have 1911s are really popular there, and 1911s are fucking epically awesome. So I can appreciate that. The two of them had 1911s, and a couple of people sitting around drinking coffee have you see guns everywhere. There's a calmness, like a who caresness that goes along with that. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think if people just saw guns more often and realized you're safer in that coffee shop than you are in anywhere in New York City.
You right. You're right.
Do you know what I mean? But what are the odds of that coffee shop getting robbed? Very low. What happens if an active shooter comes in there? They won't be around for long.
It will be taken care of.
There's something to be said for that in a big way. I don't know if people that are carrying AR-15s into credit unions, because it's not a no-gun zone because of federal law, federally insured bank, etc. But what I can carry it into this credit, you're walking into what people perceive to be a bank with an AR-15 and you're dressed up in your fucking desert camo.
Yeah.
I don't.
It sends a message.
You're trying to fuck with people and you goddamn well know it. Is that a good thing? I'd like to say yes, but I don't know. It's kind of like maybe not, because the gun grabbing news media is going to be all over that and say, see how they are. So I don't know. I don't know.
Should we leave
Grace
the last?
1911 is awesome, but antiquated today. The only thing about antiquated, I mean, that term that would, does it qualify as obsolete? I would say not. So therefore, fill your boots is the way that I look at it. I'd personally rather have a single double action pistol for concealed carry and home. And people go, what do you mean striker fired all the way? Hey, listen, I've got several striker fired handguns. I dig striker fired. I understand the advantage. My call is single double action because I love restrike capability. For reasons we can get into that get very technical, and we'll do it on a gun stream, not here. I don't know. It's straight single action. Is it antiquated? I don't know. Not if you're used to a manual thumb safety. It's not. So what's the problem? That's the way I see it. Right.
Should we leave the last 8 minutes, because I do have to go to bed because I have an 8 a.m. in the morning. Yeah.
You want to stream for another 2 hours? What?
No. Should we leave the last 8 or so minutes of the stream up for questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Which means right up until 10:30 we're going?
Yeah, 10:30.
Okay. That's cool.
That's all right with you?
That's totally cool with me.
Good.
You know what? So chat, something I want to mention. Weebs was talking about things that she needs to do on her priority list, right? She actually fulfilled one of these the other day. We watched The Departed.
We did.
She loved it.
I did.
She thought it was great, and she had never seen it before. I was so happy that she enjoyed it. Not just that she watched it and saw why I liked it, but watched it and liked it. That was really cool.
Because I didn't like Casablanca, and you're like, I need to make up for that failure right there.
Well, no, it's more like you remember my statement. I'm interested why you're interested, which is so that's why I wanted to see
Mm-hmm.
Pride and Prejudice. It's like you held this up as an example of something you like for these reasons you like it. Okay, I've
Mm-hmm.
heard about this movie forever. Well, at least in lots of different places. Heard about the story, Jane Eyre, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, heard about
No, no, no.
the
I'm sorry, not Jane Eyre. Jane Austen.
Jane Austen. Okay, um, see familiar names of authors that I know are very storied and celebrated, but I've never read anything by Jane Austen, although I've heard about her forever. So now I get to see this thing, and it's like, okay, I'm going to see what everyone's been talking about in this way. And at least it's starring Keira Knightley, so I'm there for that alone.
Bonus.
Yeah, that's a total bonus. Um, do I prefer blowback or tilting barrel? I guess I'd have to say tilting barrel, just because I have more. I don't know if there's any effective straight blowback handguns outside of rimfire. N- no, that's not true because PP and PPK actions are straight blowback, aren't they? They don't. That's not a locking breach. I don't
Daniel
think it is.
Coleman has asked if there are any new kittens. Not that I've seen, so I don't think Bonsai was pregnant.
Daniel Foreman asked, Polly, do you have a 40 style fedora? I think you asked that earlier because maybe I didn't actually hit enter. I typed in, no, I don't, but I have an awesome pinstripe suit. So I got that going for me.
Did you see the hidden gun cabinet Sinatra was talking about the other day on MITIM or Lords of the Night? Pete asked. I didn't. Does he have one or is he getting one?
I thought I saw that first on one of his streams. Maybe because I thought he was talking about it alone. I didn't see him talk about it on Monkey in the Morning or Lords of the Night. But he got excited by it. It's a thing where he says, Alexa, we need guns. And it's a sideboard. And the top of it like opens up to reveal an entire foam cutout section for a whole series of handguns, right? And then it goes down and closes. The guy says, Alexa, we need a lot of guns. and the top opens up and now the bottom leans forward, opens automatically as well to reveal all the long guns. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that is pretty cool. And Sinatra is pretty lit up by it.
I don't know because you're asking Alexa to provide you with firearms. Not sure I'd want to leave my safety and security in the hands of Alexa.
Well, you know what my comment was in chat? I typed out, I go, as long as that thing operates offline, I'm happy because I wouldn't want that thing to be connected like on a network. Like tell me you just used Alexa for the voice control.
Yeah.
Like for the logic control of it. You know what I mean? Not actually through the system.
I think I convinced my dad to get rid of our Alexa at the household because he got it as a gift from some relations. Right. And he had it in the house for a good 3 years. And I'm like, Dad, she listens. She records. I don't want to be around her. And so he unplugged her. And now we don't have Alexa anymore.
Oh.
Ooh, which I could sell on the internet for a pretty penny, couldn't I?
Yeah, you probably could. Line Patriot asked, Polly, do you remember the exact moment you knew you were awesome? No, still looking forward to that. It'll happen, I'm sure. Dan Fleman asked, will you show and tell with your swords and knives? Remember we were going to do that? Remember? We forgot.
Well, no. We didn't forget. We didn't get a chance to because I went home. Or I went back to school, and I'm not allowed to keep my sword collection at school.
Right.
Anymore.
I always say this. I don't have a collection of guns. I have a selection of guns. Because I don't want to get into that collector's mindset. If you have something that you don't really want, but it's like, should I get rid of it? Dude, sell it. Not for the money, but to buy something you're actually going to use.
Exactly.
And if you have a safe queen, which is what people jokingly refer to guns that they never take out. Like, let's say that's only, you own something for,
display purposes.
Display purposes or sentimental reasons. It was given to you. It was your grandfather's gun. You don't want to shoot it because it's a grand old lady of a firearm. You don't want to wear it out any more than you need to. So it spends a lot of time in the safe. That makes sense. But if you've just got some 92 Beretta that's just fucking sitting there, you never fucking shoot the thing. You can't ever see yourself shooting it. Fucking sell it and buy something you are going to shoot. Don't collect just to collect. That's my call anyway.
Joys of Sorrow, but you at least keep a few, right, Weebo? No. I would never disobey a direct order to not keep sharp and pointy objects in the household, guys. You know me better than that. I am an abiding person. All right, I think I convinced them. Daniel Fullman, Weebo, when will you do the Paris slideshows? I still have to finish cropping some stuff, and I still have to finish getting a few other things together. Then there's the hosting platform for the pictures, because in the past we've done it on, well, we did it on my Mac initially, and then obviously the Mac died. And that was unfortunate. And so now we can't do it on that. The concern is, how do I display the pictures in the order that I want them to display in through whatever apparatus it is I'm using? And to do that, I might have to use like Google Photos or something. I still have to figure out what I'm going to do, because I think last time I used a different application that wasn't Google Photos. But yeah, it's a lot of transferring things back and forth and back and forth. So that will be coming. I consider doing it this week, but it might get done next week.
Golden Age Radio asks a good question, because it's complicated. There's a lot of depends in it. And say for whatever reason someone can't own a firearm, what would you recommend as the next best choice for self-defense? Knife, baton, stun gun, etc. The depends are, you mean like when you're walking around during the day or at your home? Because they would be different choices, in my opinion. I can tell you one thing with stun guns. Let's say that we're defining a taser as the thing that shoots out two prongs that have wires attached to them, and that's what produces the voltage. That's a taser, and a stun gun is two prongs on the gun itself, and there's an arc across it that gives you the static. Okay. Do not confuse the static as being dangerous just because it's loud. Tasers are big, they're huge. The ones that cops carry on their Batman utility belts have a massive voltage in them. That's not worth carrying around all day. A little tiny stun gun that you plug into your wall that takes a 9-volt battery, it's just not going to do what you want it to do, that you think it's going to do, where the person hits the ground screaming and they're incapacitated, because that's the goal, whether it's a firearm or whatever. It's to incapacitate someone who's trying to do violence to you. You know, it's for protection of life and property, right? It's going to have to be pretty big, pretty high voltage to do anything. Don't buy they're novelties, the tiny little stun guns. You remember the little guy that Andy Worski was walking around with during his IRL stream that turned into the stay back thing? Yeah. He hit that big guy with a stun gun. He reacted like the guy had pinched him. You know why? He had a tiny little novelty one. I'm not trying to sound like a genius here. It's just, you have to go really high voltage, really effective if you're going to use a stun gun. Pepper spray is a better choice. You want to be out there in the street. Yeah. You want to be out there in the street and you want to incapacitate high capsaicin, however you pronounce that, like over 5%. Try and get 10 or 15% pepper spray. That's the next best option for incapacitation.
All right. And on that note, I'm just going to ask this one last question to Polly, because I like to instigate. Polly, when is the Polly Weebo Christmas collab being uploaded?
No one in chat asked that. That's your question.
No. Daniel Fullman asked that. It was with several question marks. The audience wants to know. They are invested in this collab.
Do you know what happened? This is a true story. Last night, we were watching Weebs, and Zelthor and I were watching a true crime special. And in the middle of it,
I don't recall.
What's that?
You said Weebs.
Sorry, Far Zelthor.
There you go.
I don't know. I fell asleep. Did that happen? We're watching a true crime special on YouTube, and in the middle of it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, cocktail hours tomorrow, and then I'm like, oh my god, I haven't even gotten back to that Christmas special. Shit.
Ollie, it's February.
I thought of it before I was reminded of it. I thought of it just last night. I opened the folder. It is open over here on my second screen. I am yes. Yes. So when will it be done? Soon and forthwith, because now it's back on my memory. Weebs went off to Paris. I was left alone and forgot.
Oh no, you poor thing. I reminded you before we went off to Paris. You were supposed to have it ready, like
before you went to Paris. I
remember. Before I went to Paris, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Polly. And on that note, all right, ladies, gentlemen, variants thereupon, whatever you may be, robots, I guess. Thank you for joining us this evening on Cocktail Hour, in spite of the fact that the Super Bowl might have, been a thing that was happening at the same time. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. Polly, thank you for joining myself and for putting up with the chat.
This chat's fun. What do you mean?
They are fun. I do quite enjoy our chat. Thank you for commenting. Thank you to those who donated. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And, thank you to future viewers for commenting, liking, and subscribing as well. And sharing also. I think Assassins of the Grey shilled this out on the Discord server. So thank you kindly. And Polly, do you have anything else to shill other than our collab?
Damn. That was hostile.
Just a little bit. See,
No,
that's the kind of conversation I can get behind.
I mean, you see my name there in chat, Polydub. You click on the 3 little dots, you can find your way over to my channel. Where, Weebo was supposed to come on Noir Bar this weekend, but completely ignored my DMs. So.
I was asleep when you messaged me.
Likely story.
I was.
What? Then how do you explain that your little circle was green? You were active. You
just
chose.
Always green. It's on my phone and my computer, and my computer is always online.
I'm just bugging you. It's fine. Yeah. So anyway, Noir Bar's going on over there. We're getting back into comic book curation. Lots of fun stuff. So yeah, go check out my channel. It's a good time over there.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And I will be coming out with shenanigans throughout the rest of the week. I don't have anything specifically. I have things specifically planned. It's just a matter of what gets done first. I don't have any inclination as to what gets done first. It's what my heart really wants to work on. Right now, it just wants to brush its teeth. Because my heart has teeth.
Yeah, Angela asked, am I going to be doing a comic book curation this week? Yep. Yeah, I think I've figured. I've been having OBS YouTube ingestion problems where YouTube is not wanting to receive the signal that OBS is sending. It's weird. It's like, no data. I'm like, I think I've fixed the problem. We'll see.
Fun stuff.
I've run some test streams and it worked.
Now, thank you so much. Check us back next week, Sunday, same time, same place, same faces, same otter. And we'll be seeing you next time. Bye.
Laters. Chat, you see this? Wait, did you see what you did? I was just about to start making fun of you. What, you left the stream up. I was about to stay here and just make fun of you.
All right, now bye. This is embarrassing. Don't tell your friends.